Welcome into the Steelers Talk live show by Chat Sports, presented by Prize Picks. I'm your host, Jack Sperry, and we're kicking off your weekend with some Steelers coverage here as Steelers OTAs officially have been wrapped up in the south side of Pittsburgh, and now we get into this period of the offseason where it's the long wait, as we like to call it, where we're waiting until the start of Steelers training camp in late July. We've got pretty much a 2-month wait here ahead of us, but that doesn't mean there's not stuff to talk about here on Steelers Talk. First up on the show today, I'm going to be breaking down my final takeaways from OTAs, my top 10 things that I think every Steelers fan should know coming out of OTAs and into training camp next month. Then we'll get into my list of 5 trade candidates for the Pittsburgh Steelers, 5 players that I think could realistically be traded by the Pittsburgh Steelers to another team by the end of the offseason. Then we'll answer your questions on the Steelers Talk mailbag, as always, and then we'll get into our next Madden simulation here. Week 8 versus the Cleveland Browns. Steelers are 5-2, looking to go 6-2 into the bye and get the season sweep over the Cleveland Steamers. So make sure you guys stick around for our next Madden simulation. But if you guys want to get a question on the mailbag today, you guys want to get on the show, you guys can get your question on the show for free today, or at least have a chance to get your question on the show for free today by using hashtag Steelers along with your question down there in the live chat room. So the way it works is you go down there in the live chat, you put hashtag Steelers, and then you put your question in after that, and then you press enter, and that's going to put your question in contention to make this week's mailbag. So for example, hashtag Steelers, will Aaron Rodgers win league MVP this year, or any other question that you have? We'll be happy to answer those. And then, as always, the only way to guarantee your question gets on the show today is if you super chat. The super chat button is that icon down there in the live chat room that looks like a dollar bill. You click that, you send in any dollar amount you want along with a question, and you guys can get on the show today. And then also, if you guys want to skip the line, if there's a long line of super chats and you want to skip the line and get your question answered first, you can feel free to send a Venmo or PayPal donation to at Jack-Sperry on Venmo or at Captain Jackrabbit on PayPal. The reason why we give you the skip the line kind of benefit there for Venmo and PayPal donations is because YouTube takes a 30% cut and Apple takes another 10% cut of every super chat that you guys send in. So we get to keep more of those proceeds when you send in your donations via Venmo and PayPal. So you guys can get your questions answered first if you go to at Jack-Sperry on Venmo or at Captain Jackrabbit on PayPal. All right, we got about 100 people watching live around the world here. I want to see who the real ones are. Down there in the comment section, type those me's. If you made it to the stream today for a quick shout out, I want to get to at least 40 likes before we get into our first segment today. We've got the lovely Cassie Sperry in the chat. My wife, my newly minted wife here is in the chat. Big shout out to Cassie, who is actually driving home here. It's like a 14-hour drive from Minnesota back home here. So hopefully Cassie's doing good on her drive here. And then we got Fernando Martin, we got Devone, we got Ali the Reaper, we got JT Clover, we've got Fernando Martin, we've got Kareem. What's up, Kareem? Good to see you, my friend. Zark Craig is here as always. O-Dubs is here. We've got Cheese, we've got Kermit is my God. We've got Michael, we got Brian Walker, we got Fluffy, we've got Michael, we've got Cheese, we've got Yarvo, Devone, Christopher, Sheldon, Kevin Reed is here as always. We've got Christopher Turner. We've got Martin Klunder. Hope I'm saying that right, Martin. We've got Ladome. We've got Dave. We've got K House. Hope I'm saying that right. Logan Fligman. We've got Holly Wilson. My bad, Holly. We've got Gas Station Jason. We got a good crew of Steelers fans ready to talk some ball today. But before we get into all the fun on today's program, I want to tell you about our presenting sponsor here on Steelers Talk Live, which is the #1 sports picks app out there, which is Prize Picks. The finals are now in full swing, guys, and I'm going to be putting in a Prize Picks lineup for every game of Spurs versus Knicks this year. The app is super easy to use. You just pick more than or less than on a few player stat projections and then lock in your lineup. And guys, the World Cup here in the Americas is now underway here. So if you guys want to get in on the fun here, they're doing a Rep Your Side discount for tonight's USA game with Christian Pulisic. Passes attempted here, that is discounted from, I believe, if I'm correct there, it's over 30. So I think that is something that you can definitely take on right there and have a pretty darn good chance of winning if you put it in your lineup. You guys can take a look here at this Prize Picks lineup where you guys can actually mix and match World Cup, baseball, all these different things here. Of course, the finals that are still going on. on. With this particular projection, you guys can win $150 from our friends at Prize Picks on just a $15 entry fee if you can get all 4 correct in what Prize Picks calls a power play. So download the Prize Picks app today and join the fun. Use code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to receive $50 in lineups. That's code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to get an extra $50 in lineups with Prize Picks. Click the link in the comments and description to download the app today. And a big thank you to Prize Picks for sponsoring Steelers Talk Live. All right. So what's up, Mr. Ponzi? Good to see you, my friend.
How are we doing? I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah, ready to start this weekend off right, and I'm excited to see Cassie later tonight. But but first things first, we got to talk some Steelers football. We got a bunch of great stuff for you guys. OTAs officially wrapped up, and now we're in this period here, Ponzi, where maybe the Steelers make an addition, maybe they don't. It's kind of a dead period in the NFL schedule as these players get one last chance to kind of reset and regroup. And the offense and defense has been fully installed, and once again they'll readdress that when they get to Latrobe at the end of July. But I think I'm very excited for this year's Steelers team, Ponzi. I think it's the best Steelers team that they've had certainly since I've started here, and I started here back in 2022. I think that the defense has a chance to go to the next level with Patrick Graham. I think with the additions to the receiver room, I think that's going to get more out of the passing offense. I think the run game is still built to be pretty darn good. I'm excited about this season. Where are you at this point in the process?
I definitely do think, like you said, this is probably the best Pittsburgh Steelers team that we've seen in quite some time. I think, the wide receiver group has been an area of frustration for the Steelers team, especially for Steelers fans, because, you had guys like, Van Jefferson making your wide receiver too. Even last season, Calvin Austin and, Marcus Valdes-Scantling were the wide receiver too at one point in time. I really do believe, though, that with this Steelers team, they addressed what they needed to do. They made some sneaky good signings. Jamel Dean, obviously, getting Jaquan Brisker, the Pittsburgh native. I really do think that this Steelers team is built to win now in this season and make that final push in Aaron Rodgers' final year, we think, in the NFL.
Yeah, I think that what this season's all about for Mike McCarthy and the Steelers is to give themselves the best chance to win a Super Bowl. I would say Aaron Rodgers is probably around, the 20th best quarterback in the league right now, something like that, because of his really lack of ability to create out of structure at this point in his career. That limits him compared to some of these other quarterbacks in the league that are awesome out of structure playmakers. I still think Rodgers is still one of the smartest quarterbacks in the league, if not the smartest. I still think his arm talent is up there with anybody in football. And I think he's a fantastic leader for this group. So listen, if you have around the 20th best quarterback in football, you need a lot to go right with the rest of the roster. Like, the defense is going to have to be elite, not just good, not just, top 10, like maybe not even top 5. They might have to be like a top 3 defense, maybe the best defense in football to have a legitimate chance come January. Obviously you're going to have to hit some green lights with Michael Pittman Jr. and Jerry Bernard and Roman Wilson. We already know what DK Metcalf can do, as well as the tight ends. Rico Dowdle's going to have to stay healthy and play well. This offensive line, it's kind of, a lot of familiar faces there and a lot of good young talent, but it's also a reshuffling, right? The only piece to that offensive line that's staying the same in the same spot is Zach Frazier, the center. Everywhere else, you're getting a new player at a certain position, right? Because Fautano and McCormick are moving over to the other side. You got some younger talents on the other side. We'll see if they can blossom in their rookie seasons or if they have to go with certain veterans to keep the ship afloat. The Steelers, have a narrow path to competing for a Super Bowl this year, but the possibility is still there. And even if they don't get their Ponzi, even if it is another 10 or maybe 11 win season and they're not able to win a Super Bowl this year, any team in the National Football League has a less than 50% chance of winning a Super Bowl, right? But even if the Steelers don't get that done this year, at least with Aaron Rodgers in the building, you set a very good foundation for the offensive side of the ball. Mike McCarthy isn't coming in here as, winning 5 or 6 games after this team has gone on, a 23-year stretch of non-losing seasons. The worst thing Mike McCarthy could do is come in here after that expectation of winning has been set by the Cowher and Tomlin eras and win 5 or 6 games. The city would burn the city down and try to get him fired if he won 5 or 6 games. So I think this is going to be a very foundational year for a new era of Steelers football. And hey, at the end of the day here, you do have a chance. A lot of things need to go right for you to win a Super Bowl this year. year, but I do think that possibility exists for this year's Pittsburgh Steelers team if they can hit enough green lights. But we're going to get into our first segment here in just a second. But first, if you guys want to help support the show, we got a bunch of different merch items up on our website right now, a bunch of t-shirts. We've got mullet mugs up there as well. Chatsports.com/STmerch is the link there to go check out. We got a bunch of different t-shirts. F the Ravens t-shirts. You guys really love those during free agency. We got Steelers Talk Channel logo t-shirts. We've got our Pittman t-shirts, right? We got the mullet mugs like I mentioned earlier. Married into this gear. We got a bunch of stuff on our website right now. We like to think that everything on our website is very reasonably priced as well. So if you guys want to help support the show and get some Steelers Talk merch, you guys can go to chatsports.com/STmerch. It really does help me and really does help out the channel quite a bit, guys. So your support is greatly appreciated. All right, so now let's get into our first segment of the day here. First up, we've got some final takeaways from Steelers OTAs, which wrapped up this week. I'm going to be breaking down. Oh, we got our first super chat here from Bernard Nixon. What's up, Bernard? Good to see you. $5. Says Florio said A-Rod is too protective of his TD to interception career ratio and too scared to take chances and throw a pick. He's always been somebody that has, I can't believe people are actually talking about Aaron Rodgers in the light of he doesn't throw interceptions, therefore he's a bad quarterback. It's actually gotten to that point. But I think really what it was is last year, and we've talked about this on the show quite a bit, Bernard, as you know, there just wasn't a lot of opportunities to hold the ball for a long time and throw the ball down the field because you didn't have the wide receiver weapons around Rodgers to make that happen. Hopefully you do have that this year, so I'm excited to see what Rodgers looks like this year. But obviously, he did play a very conservative brand of football last year. I will say that I'm okay kind of excusing that, I guess is the right word, because of the surrounding cast that he had. But this year, I think he's got enough help around him. So if it's the same old dump it off Rodgers, not holding the ball, not throwing the ball down the field more often this year, then, I think we can certainly point to Rodgers as that's just his play style at this point in his career. And, it probably wasn't the best decision to bring him back this year. But like I said, I think, you look at Brady in 2019 when he had no receiving weapons and you compare him to what Aaron Rodgers did last year with no receiving weapons at age 42. They were both 42, right? Aaron Rodgers' numbers are actually better than Brady's before he ended up going to Tampa Bay where he got better weapons, better play calling, all that different stuff, and he ended up winning a Super Bowl at age 43. Now, that's not to say Rodgers is going to play as well as Brady did in 2020. That's not to say that the Steelers are going to win the Super Bowl, all right? But what that does say is that it is possible for a 43-year-old quarterback to improve his production, right? And I think a lot of people just don't think that that's possible and think that Rodgers can't get better even with a better surrounding cast. But I think that is absolutely possible. So it'll be interesting to see what Rodgers is able to do this year. $2 from Bernard again says a lot of people say A-Rod is overpaid. I mean, you could say that at this point. I still think, you look at the way that it's structured, I think there's only 3 veteran quarterbacks that are not on their rookie contracts right now that are starters that are making less than Aaron Rodgers. It's what is it, Tua? No, Tua doesn't count because he's getting a bunch from Miami. It's Geno Smith, Kirk Cousins, and then there's one other guy. Rodgers is definitely on the bottom rung of quarterbacks in terms of what he's getting paid, right? Especially for a veteran. So, last year, I think maybe we got a little bit spoiled with him only making $15 million against the cap as a future Hall of Fame quarterback. This year he's making more than that, but it's not that much more. And the Steelers were still able to put a really good roster around him this year despite paying him more this year. So frankly, he earned it. I mean, the leadership he brought, without Aaron Rodgers last year, this team does not get anywhere close to 10 wins in a division championship. I don't think they win either Baltimore game. I think there's a number of games you point to where it's Aaron Rodgers was the difference in that game. So I would say, Aaron Rodgers is not overpaid. I think he's pretty appropriately paid, if you ask me. $10 from Kareem says, do you think Steelers will trade for Baker Mayfield or take over after Rodgers, or they stick with Howard or Aller? They're definitely not trading for Baker this year. All right, Tampa's not trading him because what is the other option for Tampa? Kyle Trask? Who is their backup quarterback right
Kyle
now?
Trask is not even on their team. In fact, he's not been on there for quite a while.
Well, F me then. Like, who is the backup? Is it John Wolford?
Let's see. Surveys.
I don't even know who the backup quarterback is in Tampa.
Wow. Old friend.
Easton Stick?
No.
Oh, no, not. It's not Kenny Pickett.
Started a game for our rival last year.
Last year. No, not Joe Flacco. What? Tyler Huntley?
No.
Oh. Who?
Jake Browning.
Oh, yes, Jake Browning. Okay, well, he's not a bad backup.
No.
But like, it just doesn't make sense for a win-now team like Tampa. I mean, Todd Bowles is on the hot seat. He's not going to give up Baker Mayfield right now. So the Baker Mayfield trade, it's not going to happen this year. He becomes a free agent next year. So if the Steelers are going to get Baker, it's going to come via a free agency signing next year, not a trade. And I've said it earlier on the show this week, I'm skeptical of getting Baker Mayfield, Ponzi. Like, we can discuss this a little bit at large here before we get into our first segment. But, like, you compare Aaron Rodgers' numbers to Baker Mayfield last year, and you can make a very solid argument Aaron Rodgers was better than Baker Mayfield was last year. Now, obviously, Baker had injuries around him on the offensive line and in the receiver room and all this different stuff. But, like, Aaron Rodgers didn't have a lot of help either. And, like, you look at their numbers, and they're very, very similar, but Baker Mayfield is probably going to be seeking at least $40 million a season, if not $50 next offseason. And, like, Aaron Rodgers is making, what, 25? Like, he's not making that much, compared to what Baker's going to be looking for next year. And also, to get Baker Mayfield, Ponzi, you are going to have to get rid of a lot of really good players around the quarterback, right? You're going to have to get rid of TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith to make that $50 million price tag work. Like, you're going to have to let Patrick Queen walk, even if he has a good season this year. You're going to have to try and trade Jalen Ramsey or cut Jalen Ramsey. You're probably going to have to cut Jamel Dean. Like, you're going to have to cut a ton of people. And I'm just saying, man, Baker Mayfield is not a quarterback where, like, you can get, he's a win-now quarterback. But, like, in order to get Baker Mayfield, the Steelers have to rebuild. Like, they have to tear this thing down to the studs just to afford him. So, like, this isn't a fit to me. I'm sorry. It's just not. Now, Baker, I would say Baker's better than Aaron Rodgers, just in a vacuum right now. But, like, is he worth $50 million and having to get rid of this team's entire veteran core next offseason to be able to bring in here on a multi-year $50+ million contract or whatever it ends up being? I'm sorry, guys. It's just too risky, especially because if he does make the free agency market, that means he wasn't good enough for Tampa Bay to lock up long-term. So I'm sorry, man. I just don't see this one. I know a lot of people like Baker and, just because of the way he plays the game and his moxie and, he is a talented player. He is a good starting NFL quarterback. But, like, there's a difference between a good NFL starting quarterback and a quarterback you completely tear down your entire team to go get. And I just don't see Baker as one of those guys. And I think next year we're looking at, probably Drew Aller or Will Howard or a first-round pick in the draft. That's probably what we're looking at. Or maybe there's some other affordable veteran that they bring in.
Aaron Rodgers again.
Maybe Aaron Rodgers again. Like, I mean, we can laugh at that possibility, but we were sitting here just last year, and we were saying for sure this is Aaron Rodgers' last year, and he's back this year, right? So if, like, the Steelers play very well, if Rodgers plays well this year, they make it to the divisional round or the AFC Championship game or something like that, and they come up just short of the Super Bowl, and Cam Hayward approaches him next offseason and says, listen, man, I got one more year on my deal. I don't want a rookie quarterback quarterbacking this team. I want to try and win a Super Bowl. Please, my captain, come back for one more year. You're telling me Aaron Rodgers is going to say no to that? I mean, maybe he does, but maybe he doesn't, right? So I'm not willing to sit here and say 100% Aaron Rodgers is not going to be the starting quarterback of this team 1 year away from now. But I would say definitely the most likely situation is that it's a young guy. Drew Aller, Will Howard, one of those guys shows enough behind the scenes this year to be that option for this team next year, and they're going to roll the dice on the young quarterback heading into 2027. And if neither of those guys are good enough, maybe they draft a quarterback in the NFL draft. Like, those are kind of the three most likely options at this point. But if I had to guess right now, I think Drew Aller will be the starting quarterback of this team.
And to answer Bernard's question here, thank you for the $2, by the way, once again. Who's better right now, Baker or A-Rod? It kind of depends on what we see out of Baker this year. I think this is a huge year for Baker, and I think that's why the Bucs are, like, hesitant to pay him. And kind of like in that duck year that he had with the Browns where he got hurt and he forced himself through that injury. He's trying to prove himself that he's worth as a upper echelon quarterback. But the problem is, I don't know if he is. I'm fine with Baker Mayfield as my quarterback. But the problem is that you're going to be paying him like he's a top 10 quarterback.
Yep.
Are you going to be willing to pay Baker Mayfield that money? And I think he's a top 15 quarterback for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't think
he's a good starter.
I don't think he's an elevator like you were saying. I don't think, you go into the game and you're like, go win it for us with lesser talent. I don't know if he does.
I at this point, I would say he definitely doesn't, because he was surrounded by lesser talent in Carolina, and he was terrible there.
And granted, that was a terrible
No, I get
situation.
it. But like that was a terrible situation, and he couldn't elevate it, right?
And he did some good things without Chris Godwin 2 years ago, whenever he had that nasty injury.
Yeah, but listen, man, when he had Liam Cohen calling his plays, who's an offensive genius, right? We can all acknowledge that. Liam Cohen's one of the up-and-coming offensive minds in the league. And he had Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, all these weapons to throw to, a really good running back room. You put enough talent around Baker Mayfield, he can be a very productive player. And I will say at this point, I would, if I had a choice between Baker Mayfield or Aaron Rodgers on the same salary, same everything, same team, I'm picking Baker, all right, because he can do more out of structure than Aaron can at this point. I think Baker is good enough as an in-structure playmaker to be able, to be better than Aaron Rodgers, and to say he's a better quarterback in a vacuum than Aaron Rodgers. But would I rather have Aaron at what? $25 million per season, or Baker at double the price at 50, which is probably going to be his price tag next year?
Yeah.
I'm taking Aaron Rodgers at half the price, man. Baker's not that much better than Aaron Rodgers. Plus, he doesn't have necessarily the playoff experience that Rodgers has. I don't think Baker's as good playing in cold weather conditions as Aaron Rodgers is. I think for this year's team, Aaron Rodgers certainly makes more sense, and he's better for this year's Steelers team than Baker Mayfield would be.
And I really do think that I don't want to put Baker on blast or anything, but I do think ultimately we kind of are going to view him in the same way that we view Jared Goff. Like that 14, 15 best quarterback. If you have a quarterback better than Baker and Jared Goff, it shows. Those are guys that clearly elevate. Those are guys that you could work with when they're doing with less. But if you have a guy who's below them, you're struggling.
He's a high-functioning game manager.
Exactly.
That's
Not a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing.
But the problem is the paychecks.
Yes.
Dude, when Jared Goff got his deal from the Lions a couple years back, still paying the consequences for that right now. They have to, let some of the other guys go. They're going to have to, figure out how or what to do and lose some of these depth pieces that would be really well for their team and be lesser, built on their depth charts. I do think that if you're going to be paying Baker, you're going to have to cut one of your wide receivers, one of your running backs. The Steelers would have to be forced to do a lot and make less talent. And I don't know if that's a winning football strategy.
It's not. $5 from Bernard says they're not trading A-Rod for Baker. A-Rod is the man. I mean, are there people suggesting in the chat that we trade Aaron Rodgers for Baker Mayfield this year? It's just ridiculous, man. You just brought back Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers didn't come back just to play. He came back to specifically play for Mike McCarthy. They're not trading Aaron Rodgers. The Steelers just spent months waiting for him. They're going to trade him away? What are we talking about here, guys? Plus, not to mention there's a 30-day latency period after Rodgers signs where they can't trade him, but they can after, technically. But I'm sure he probably has a no trade clause. It's a 1-year thing, probably with a no trade clause. I really don't think that is even close to a realistic possibility. If the Steelers get Baker Mayfield, guys, it will be because of a free agency acquisition next year. And as we've talked about, I'm not sure how much sense it actually makes to go get Baker Mayfield. So personally, I don't think Baker Mayfield will be the starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers anytime soon. I mean, we'll see how things kind of play out. And maybe, he plays so poorly this year, Ponzi, where he ends up being an affordable option for Pittsburgh next year. That actually might be his best chance to be the starting quarterback of the Steelers next year. But if he balls out this year, he's going to stay in Tampa. Tampa's going to prioritize keeping him around, right? So that's just kind of the way that it goes. But let's get into our first segment of the day here, guys. Some final takeaways from OTAs, 10 things that every Steelers fan should know as we approach the break leading to Steelers training camp. Also, stay tuned for some trade trade candidates after OTAs, and then also the live mailbag and our next Madden simulation. So without further ado, let's get into our first segment of the day, some final takeaways from Steelers OTAs. Welcome into Steelers Talk by Chat Sports, presented by Prize Picks. I'm your host, Jack Sperry, and Steelers OTAs officially concluded on the south side of Pittsburgh at UPMC Rooney Sports Complex this week. And today on the show, I'm going to be sharing my top 10 takeaways coming out of Steelers OTAs this year that I believe every Steelers fan should be aware of as we now approach the break, heading into Steelers training camp in Latrobe at the end of July. Now, before we get into the content today, if you guys want more Steelers content from me for free here on social media, you can follow me on X at Jack_Sperry. I'm going to be actually putting out a lot of stuff regarding my annual NFL quarterback rankings over the next several weeks. I also post daily Steelers content outside of the stuff we put out here on YouTube on there. So if you guys want daily Steelers content, you can follow me at Jack_Sperry. Greatly appreciate your guys' support on that platform. All right, so now let's get into my first takeaway of today's list, which is change is a good thing in regards to the culture that new head coach Mike McCarthy is setting here in Pittsburgh. Former Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger certainly has some, let's say, sources inside the Steelers building, and this is what he says that they're telling him at this point about Mike McCarthy's early days here in Pittsburgh. Well, I think from what I've heard also is that this new coaching regime has these guys moving, grooving, and running. There's no slowing down. There's no sitting down. From what I have heard, it's eye-opening and a big change. Change isn't always bad by any means. From what I hear with this staff, it's go, 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 and okay. That's what's going to happen on the back end of this, but guys are going so much in camp. It'll be interesting to see. Obviously, McCarthy is not a newbie, and there's a bunch of reports getting out there, guys, of how Mike McCarthy is maximizing the practice time during OTAs and finding innovative ways to be able to do that while still staying within the limits of the collective bargaining agreement. But I'm loving everything that I'm hearing about this staff. It's kind of sounding like, Mike Tomlin in the previous regime was a little bit more laissez-faire when it came to OTAs and stuff like that, whereas Mike McCarthy and this new staff, it's all business. They're getting their stuff done, and it's very much more detail-oriented in terms of the football side of things. Mike Tomlin, the thing that I'll always say was his superpower was his ability to communicate and lead and motivate the group, but I think we all kind of saw that the football side of things from a schematic point of view kind of got a bit stale here in Pittsburgh, and that's me being nice to the Mike Tomlin regime, whereas with Mike McCarthy, he loves the game, right? He's maybe not the most dynamic leader in the world, but he is somebody that knows how to operate a professional football program, which is why, he was as impressive as he was in the interview process and why the Steelers ended up hiring him. So definitely excited for his regime. But another takeaway here is that the defense is ahead of the offense at this current point in time. I'll tell you why I'm not necessarily worried about that, but first let's take a look at what Arthur Moats, a former Steelers player, had to say about what he saw between the dynamic of the offense and defense. He says, I didn't like the amount of turnovers the offense had. If we're being real, I wanted it to be cleaner. We can have good on good without it being tips, the overthrows that turn into picks. If the ball hits your hands, catch it, man. Now, I will say, guys, don't panic out there. I mean, the defense is usually ahead of the offense at this stage in the process, especially when there's new leadership and new schemes being implemented, because on the defensive side of the ball, really, it's a very, very similar, right? Like every team kind of runs the same stuff. It's just different language and getting on the same page, but there's less concepts as well. It's why you see a defensive coordinator with a little post-it note versus the whole, Denny's menu that you see with like Andy Reid and Mike McCarthy, right? Like there's a difference between offense and defensive scheme, and it usually takes the offense more time to get used to that scheme and to build that chemistry. So right now, it's not necessarily worrying me, guys, that the defense is ahead of the offense at this point, and hopefully some of the bugs are being worked out. I mean, we saw last year Aaron Rodgers didn't take a team rep with the offense until we got to Latrobe in training camp, and we saw them kind of work through those bugs throughout that process. Now, at the end of the day, guys, they ended up throwing 4 touchdowns in the season opener versus the Jets, so it wasn't that big of an issue. But now that Rodgers has been participating in nearly all the OTAs except for this last slate this week, hopefully some of those bugs are getting worked out earlier so they can really hit the ground running when we get to Latrobe. Now, before we get into the rest of my takeaways here, fill in the blank for me down there in the comments section. The Pittsburgh Steelers will have a top blank offense in the NFL this season. Let me know your answer to this question down there in the comments section. With that, let's have a word from our sponsor today here at PrizePicks, America's #1 sports picks app. The finals are now in full swing, guys, and what a game that was in Game 4 at the Garden here the other day. And I'm going to be putting in a PrizePicks lineup for every game of Spurs versus Knicks this year. The app is super easy to use. You just pick more than or less than on a few player stat projections and then lock in your lineup. And the World Cup is also finally here, guys. You can take a look here at this Rep Your Side discount that they currently have for Christian Pulisic of the United States team. And you guys can actually mix and match World Cup with baseball and the other sports that they have to customize your lineup for that day. You guys can see here we're combining baseball and World Cup. On this particular projection, you can win $150 on just a $15 entry fee in what PrizePicks calls a power play. So you got to get all 4 correct to get the $150. But if you do so, you do get the full $150. So download the PrizePicks app today to join the fun and use code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to receive $50 in lineups. That's code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to get an extra $50 in lineups with our friends at PrizePicks. Click the link in the comments and description to download the app today. And a big thank you to PrizePicks for sponsoring today's edition of Steelers Talk. My next takeaway here, sticking with the offensive side of the ball, is that I do expect heavy personnel to be heavily featured this year in Mike McCarthy's offense. Now, because in the Tex Coast offense there in Dallas, the Cowboys, an indoor team playing in a warm weather state, played a lot of spread football, right? And a lot of 11 personnel, which means 3 wide receivers on the field at the same time. People took those kind of numbers from Dallas and those kind of figures and say, well, that's just what Mike McCarthy's going to run here in Pittsburgh, and he's just going to copy and paste that system here with the Steelers. But Mike McCarthy has made it abundantly clear that's not going to be the case. He wants to have more of a ground and pound AFC North style of offense here in Pittsburgh. And I think that this offense here in Pittsburgh is going to look probably more similar to what it looked like in Green Bay in his time there with the Packers than it did in the warm weather state there with the Dallas Cowboys, right? I think it's going to be more ground and pound. I think we're going to see a lot more heavy personnel, multiple tight ends, and multiple running back sets. And I think that this offense, one of the things I really like about it and the personnel that we have is that you can be very multiple formationally, and you can really game plan week to week to exploit the weaknesses of your opponent. Like if you face a team that really struggles against 11 personnel and you can spread out and do that, you got the receiver talent to be able to do that. If you want to have multiple tight ends on the field and run the football with a wide tight end in Darnell Washington and Pat Freiermuth, more of your receiving tight end on the field at the same time, you can do that. If you want Riley Nowakowski to come in as a fullback, you can do that sort of stuff. But listen, man, I keep hearing the phrase, oh, the Steelers paid a backup tight end in Darnell Washington. They're not going to use him like a backup, right? They're going to use him a lot in this offense because Darnell provides this team and this offense such a huge X factor because of his blocking ability with his size and strength, but also his ability to catch the football in kind of, check flat type of situations and run with the ball after the catch. That combination right there makes Darnell so valuable. And then Pat Freiermuth has an awesome connection with Aaron Rodgers as this team's receiving tight end, and their skill sets really complement each other. So I really do expect, especially on early downs, to see both of the starting tight ends out there at the same time. And then I also think we'll see quite a bit of 2 running back sets with the use of a fullback, all right? Just ask Packer fans how much they used John Kuhn back in the day. Now we get a guy in Riley Nowakowski who I think has a chance to be the best fullback in football in a few short years. He's awesome after the catch, really good lead blocker. I think he's built to be an NFL fullback. I think he's going to get quite a bit of work on early down situations, and this is going to be a ground and pound in-your-face style of offense that I'm really excited to see kind of play out. And let's not forget about the jumbo packages either. Aaron Rodgers was a big proponent of the Steelers using those jumbo personnel packages with Spencer Anderson coming in as an extra offensive lineman. I would not be surprised to see those again this year because I know for a fact Aaron Rodgers felt that gave this offense a very competitive edge last year, and I would certainly expect them to introduce that in this offense again this year. But then moving on here to to some more individual players and some takeaways here, I do think that at this current point in time, Will Howard is in the pole position to be this team's first backup quarterback here as the QB2 over Mason Rudolph. I think Mason didn't necessarily perform the greatest during these OTAs. It sounds like he might be dealing with a little bit of an injury, but Will Howard is getting a lot of opportunities, a lot of reps, and apparently he is impressing out there. So in my opinion, guys, the QB2 job is Howard's to lose. He's younger. He has theoretical starter upside that Mason Rudolph at this point, nearly 30 years old, does not have. So if I've been saying it all summer, guys, if Will Howard is even or surpasses Mason Rudolph throughout the preseason, throughout training camp, he is going to be this team's QB2 this year, in my opinion. However, there is still plenty of time to lose the job, right? If he throws a bunch of interceptions in training camp or in the preseason games and he's not playing well, and Mason Rudolph is clearly the second best quarterback on this team, then yes, the option does present itself where the Steelers could cut Will Howard this year. So really, it's up to Will Howard. He's going to get all the reps and all the opportunity in the world to prove himself. Kind of comes down to what he does with those opportunities. But then we go to another former Big Ten player here, and Roman Wilson, who for now is holding on to that wide receiver 3 spot. Now, keep in mind that Roman, as kind of an undersized, speedier wide receiver, has always been somebody that has impressed during OTAs. I mean, how many videos have we done over the last 3 years talking about how impressive Roman Wilson looks in a helmet and shorts, right? And he's one of those players that looks impressive in this kind of environment. But like when you put the pads on, that's when Roman has kind of struggled. So he's going to have to prove himself big time when we get to Latrobe. But, he's going out there. He caught apparently a 70-plus air yard throw for a touchdown from Aaron Rodgers. He's being really used as a true deep threat from the slot in this offense, which is very similar to the role that Kevontae Turpin played in the Mike McCarthy offense when McCarthy was still in Dallas. As kind of an undersized, speedy type of receiver, I think we could see Roman Wilson play that role this year as kind of a undersized slot specialist that can get open deep. Then we can talk here about the offensive line with Spencer Anderson, who I believe has a legitimate shot to be this team's starting right guard. He was able to hold on to that starting right guard spot throughout the course of OTAs, and I do expect a 3-way competition between Anderson, Hoffman, and of course rookie Jennings Dunker once we get into Latrobe. But right now it appears that Spence has the pole position heading into camp, and it kind of seems like it's his job to lose as long as the Steelers don't bring in another veteran at some point this offseason. So make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon if you guys are enjoying today's show. I'm going to shift my focus here to the defensive side of the ball right now. So make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon here if you're enjoying the in-depth content. But now we can get into the defensive side of the ball here. And I would say, guys, definitely expect way more too high shells on defense. Now, the Steelers did play more too high in the second half of the season last year. It's why the defense kind of bounced back a little bit. But I think that, from the word go, Patrick Graham is going to base out of those too high pre-snap shells. And the benefit of that is that the defense can really operate more ambiguously where, if you have too high safeties to start the play, you can get into any of your too high coverages, right? You can go to any of the match coverages, but then you can also rotate down and go single high as well. So you have the full kind of playbook of coverages on the back end at your disposal if you start with two high safeties. And, that definitely helps take away the deep passing game. It gives your defense leverage over that deep pass. It definitely keeps the opposing offensive passing game in front of you. But you might be saying at home, but Jack, if you're in two high safeties all the time, doesn't that leave you vulnerable to the run? Won't the Steelers just get bullied in the run game if they stick in two high safety stuff all the time pre-snap? Well, traditionally that would be true, but that's really where the big nickel player in this defense comes in. And that's really where the big nickel player has been, kind of revolutionized in the National Football League over the last several years. The big nickel in this type of defense can really be the straw that stirs the drink, because a really good big nickel player is big enough and is a good enough tackler and is good enough at taking on blocks to be almost like a hybrid will linebacker type in the box and be good against the run and fill a run fit, those sort of things. But then also good enough to defend the slot simultaneously, right? And there's a fine line here. There's not a lot of players in the league that can play this very specialized role, but if you have a player that can fit this role, your defense can live in those two high structures pretty consistently and still be able to defend the run. And it just so happens the Pittsburgh Steelers have one of the best big nickel players in the National Football League today in Jalen Ramsey, who is 31 years old, yes, and he's not, the athlete that he once was. He's not able to, play press man coverage against Jamar Chase on the outside anymore. But what he is that he's extremely smart. He's still one of the best tackling DBs in the National Football League, one of the best run defending DBs in the game, 210 pounds for somebody that plays this position. And, he plays this game with incredible anticipatory instincts and football IQ. He brings the boom when it comes to, and sets the tone when it comes to how he hits people in the run game. And, to have that player that is good enough and instinctive enough in coverage to play the slot corner position, but also good enough as a run defender to take on blocks, make tackles, do those kinds of things to kind of mitigate the opposing offense's run game is huge for this Pittsburgh Steelers team, and it's going to allow them to kind of base out of that too high safety shell this year on defense. So I would definitely expect a lot of deception on defense, right? And that's really the benefit of being able to play a lot of these too high safety shells, is that you can rotate to a bunch of different things and, kind of hide what your intentions are to the opposing offense. And I think a key strength for Pittsburgh this year, that's going to be a big X factor for what they can call in certain situations, is their outside cornerback duo with Joey Porter Jr. and the newly signed veteran cornerback Jamel Dean, two of some of the best man-to-man corners on the perimeter in the National Football League from this past season. And what I'm expecting here, guys, is yes, a good combination of like Mike McDonald style match coverages from that kind of quarters alignment pre-snap, especially on early downs, but then they're also going to combine that with some really suffocating man coverage and some awesome rotations to cover one robber in big moments, third downs, second downs when you really want to, get a stop against the passing game. I think that they're going to be able to go to that changeup, and it's going to really put these offenses in a tough spot, because the best defenses in the world, man, you look at Houston, you look at Denver, you look at all these teams, they play man coverage better than anybody else in football. And I think the Steelers are built to play that way this year, which gets me really excited in terms of what to expect from this Steelers defense heading into 2026. But the secondary and the coverage and stuff like that is not the only area where I'm expecting deception. I'm also expecting it at the line of scrimmage. This is kind of what Patrick Graham has been known for throughout his career, getting creative with the fronts and threatening multiple people to blitz. And I think that the defense has great blitzers everywhere. It's not just the great pass rushers you have on the D line; those obviously are there for you. But you also have Patrick Queen and Peyton Wilson, two excellent blitzers at the linebacker position. You've got Jalen Ramsey, who's a hell of a blitzer, as your nickel player. You got Deshaun Elliott, who's a great blitzer. Jaquan Brisker's a great blitzer. Like, you got all these great blitzers, and Patrick Graham is known as somebody that likes to use his players' strengths against his opponent, right? And I think that somebody with Patrick Graham's reputation is definitely going to get creative with the way he's putting these guys and threatening them close to the line of scrimmage and then dropping different people out. This is going to be a nasty defense this year, in my opinion, guys, and I think it's going to be mostly scheme-driven. So that's really exciting. And then I also think I'm expecting a bigger role for Peyton Wilson in this defense than in previous years. He's kind of alluded to the idea that he's taking on more of the communication responsibilities this year in the Steelers defense, but I think that because this defense is going to be somewhat blitz heavy, I think that Peyton Wilson is going to be used as a blitzer a lot, and I'm really excited to see how he fits inside this system. I think fits his skill set perfectly. Then the final takeaway that I have for you guys here is that Y.A. Black has been playing the nose tackle position throughout OTAs. Now, he played mostly actually at the 4-eye position, which is a 3-4 defensive end alignment in the previous regime under Mike Tomlin and Terrell Austin. And for somebody that's so big, you would think, well, that just makes sense that he's a nose tackle. But frankly, even going back to college, he has had some pad level issues, and he's actually been more known for his penetrative ability, even going back to Iowa, than he was in terms of his ability of taking on double teams, holding the line of scrimmage. Because if you're such a big dude and such a tall guy in particular, and you're not playing with good pad level, you can get driven backwards pretty easily against NFL offensive linemen. We saw that last year when Black was asked to play nose tackle. So hopefully Pecco, the new defensive line coach, is getting this young man to put his pads down further and really hit those double teams and hold that line of scrimmage because he's got the pure man strength and the size to be able to do it. He could be one of the best nose tackles in football if he could do that. It's just a matter of getting the technique right, getting him to be more consistent in that way. And if you can do that, you could really unlock something with this young man who is massive. He's got long arms, and he did show some really great flashes last year for the Pittsburgh Steelers, so excited to see how he grows in year 2. So let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. What is your excitement level for this year's Steelers team? For me, it's pretty darn high, man. I think this is the best Steelers team that we've had since I've had this job going back to 2022. So go put it on a scale of 1 to 10 for me down there in the comment section. For me, I'm probably sitting at around an 8. I'm excited to see what this new regime can do here in Pittsburgh. And if you're with me on that, give me your answer down there in the comment section. And that'll be it for today's edition of Steelers Talk by Chat Sports. If you enjoyed today's content, you appreciate the in-depth approach that we try to implement here on Steelers Talk, we have videos like this every single day, breaking down the nitty-gritty details of the Pittsburgh Steelers and all the news and rumors of the day. And we put out videos for free every single day, so you're never wanting more Steelers content. So definitely greatly appreciate your guys' support. I'll see you guys next time. And until then, here we go, Steelers. Fun segment there, Ponzi, kind of comprehensive, talking about both sides of the ball, some of the things that are exciting, maybe some of the things that are a bit concerning. But I think that those are the 10 things that you guys got to know heading into this break and heading into training camp after what transpired during OTAs this year. We do have a super chat here from Bernard Nixon who says, when A-Rod retires, I think he should come back and be a QB coach for the Steelers. It's not happening. If you believe Rodgers, he is disappearing after he retires. I think the word he says is, you will not see me. He is going to disappear with his wife, and I guess we'll never see him ever again. He's just going to go into the wilderness, and he'll never be in the public eye again. Now, I'm sure he'll probably go to like the Kentucky Derby and live his life, and if there's happens to be paparazzi there, then they'll take pictures of him. But like, I don't think he's going to do a whole lot of McAfee. I don't think he's going to do a whole lot of media. If he does go media, he will go on McAfee, but like, I just don't think we're going to see or hear a whole lot from Aaron Rodgers once he's retired. We'll see on that, but I highly doubt he wants to be a coach. I mean, he's essentially a coach right now to both Will Howard and Drew Aller. So, Ponzi, if you actually want to hold down the fort for a second here, I got to get a drink of water here. But then we'll get into our next segment here. We will talk about 5 players that the Steelers could realistically trade before the start of the season this year.
Are you going to get water, or
I'm going to go get water.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me get this.
Okay.
There we go. Make sure you use hashtag Steelers. It looks like we will be having some Steelers questions in here, so I already have a good bit, but always looking for some more, looking for what you guys have to say about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Obviously, huge OTA takeaways. That was one of our longer ones, but I do think that very comprehensive of what you need to know about the Pittsburgh Steelers because, man, we're not going to see some see some of those takeaways for a little bit right now. Have almost a 2-month break or like a whole month. So, I mean, going to be desperate for some football. I'm really excited to go see this Pittsburgh Steelers team going into 2026 because, I mean, Mike McCarthy, I said what I said about him. Maybe I'm buying back in. Maybe. Ali says this is the most balanced team I've seen since the 2011 season. That's the year they went to the Super Bowl, I believe, against the Packers. So maybe that's high praise. That's very high praise.
All right, folks. I'm back. Shout out to Ponzi for holding down the fort there, but we got a very fun segment for you guys coming up here, guys.
Sorry, Craig's asking me how I feel about the Sorsby situation. Official word, no comment.
No comment. All right, Ponzi, the company Texas Tech Raider fan here has no comment on what they're doing there. But $10 here from Marco Man. All right, let's get to his super chat. Also, I think I missed a PayPal. My mistake to Bradley T. Let's actually put him up here first here, Ponzi. Bradley T. says, how would you compare Caden Weegan to Devin Hester as a return man? I mean, Devin Hester's the greatest return man in the history of professional football. But, like, you look at Caden Weegan, he was one of the greatest punt return guys in the history of college football.
How much was it?
2 straight Jet Awards, Bradley T, yeah.
I was thinking how much?
Oh, $5. But, like, is it completely out of the question that Weejan could be one of the best and most impactful special teams players in the history of the National Football League? It's not out of the question, especially because how important and the increased importance these return men are now in the National Football League because of the rule changes to the kickoff. You know, you're seeing more of these return opportunities on special teams. So return men are as valuable as arguably any time else in the National Football League's history. So if you can find one that's consistently impacting the game the way that Devin Hester did for the Bears all those years back, I mean, that would be a godsend for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It could be a game-changing presence that could be huge for this team, especially when you get into December and January when you got to have those games. $10 here from Marco Mann says, McCarthy said that Darnell Washington allows the team?
Allows the team.
Allows the team to run a 90s-style offense. Does that mean we're going to be a run-first offense, or is he talking about his versatility in the play-action game? Could mean a lot of different things. It could mean more 2 running back sets. You know, back in the day, 21 and 22 personnel were a lot more popular. The use of the fullback was a lot more popular, and they spent a 5th-round pick to get the best fullback in the draft, and frankly, a lot of people said they reached on that player to make sure that they got him. So You don't do that unless you have a plan for that player in Riley Nowakowski, so I think he will have a really good role in this offense. But could it mean heavier use of under center drop back game? Could it mean more, heavier use of play action from under center? I hope so. Aaron Rodgers was actually awesome operating the play action game from under center. I mean, I remember that first game of the year, Ponzi, where he threw 4 touchdowns. I think 2 or 3 of those were from under center play action concepts. And then they decided we're not going to run under center play action the rest of the season. I just couldn't believe it, man. Now, I think part of that is Rodgers is just more comfortable playing spread from the shotgun. He likes to get the full view of the defense, all that different stuff. But I think this team is built to play ground and pound, smash mouth football, but they also have the capability to spread you out and pass the football when they need to, and that was something this team did not have last year. They were capable of playing ground and pound football last year. In fact, I think the run game was like 6th in EPA per rush, 7th in success rate. It was a very successful rushing offense. It's just they passed it all the time, right? And they weren't a very effective passing offense last year, at least in terms of throwing the ball down the field, right? So if that's going to be the same thing where Aaron Rodgers is going to take the reins and is going to be the final person to make the decision on what play is called and what play gets run, I'm hoping that he trusts the run game a little bit more this year and kind of lets them do their thing. And I hope that, he's okay staying under center a bit more, because I think at this point in his career, I don't think he is, a shotgun, spread them out kind of guy anymore. I think that the guys that run that style of offense, Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, that run that style, you got to be able to do stuff outside the pocket and out of structure. I think the play action game from under center does a great job buying time for quarterbacks, and that's exactly what Rodgers needs. He needs time to sit in that pocket, work through his progressions, and play within structure, right? But with shotgun, because you're deeper in the pocket when you're getting the football, all those different things, it can really tee up opportunities for the opposing pass rush, which is not a good thing for a quarterback that can't create out of structure.
I would look for this team to run a lot more of 2021 Dallas after Dak got injured, where, obviously his mobility was still, very questionable. They ran a lot of under center work. I think, if Rodgers, obviously, I think Dak, even after that surgery, is a lot better mobile than Rodgers at this point in their careers.
Yes.
But, coming off that injury, Dak was still very limited, and he was basically a statue, and he ran a lot of under center play action work, and that really helped them free up. I really do think that, Hunter Luepke is also a good comparison for Riley Nowakowski right there, just because of the fact that both fullbacks in a McCarthy-style offense, they love to run play action with them, leading the way and even coming out on a flat after blocking down. I mean, it's just, I think that McCarthy's going to have final say. I don't think Rodgers is anymore.
I disagree. I think McCarthy will give Rodgers final say. I think that Rodgers feels like he's earned that final say with how much experience he has and all that different stuff. I don't think Rodgers agrees to come back if he doesn't get final say on the offense.
Maybe that's because I just see a world where we can get 2018 Green Bay all over again.
Yeah, maybe. But I think the quickest way to do that is give Rodgers no power.
That's fair enough.
Because if Rodgers sees something and he has no power to change the play to get into a better play, he's gonna be pissed. He's gonna be pissed. So you have to give Rodgers what he wants in that regard. I don't think Rodgers agrees to come back if he doesn't have that power. And I think McCarthy agreed to give him that kind of power, which is probably a big reason why Rodgers is okay coming back to play in this offense. So. We'll see what happens. I mean, I would argue last year Rodgers, having that amount of power to decide what play was being run and having multiple plays to choose from in the huddle and, making the quote-unquote right call, I don't know, man. It led to a lot of passing. It just did. And it was I know Rodgers is the type of guy that feels like he always wants to have the ball in his hands. He's the ultimate competitor in that way. But this team had a top 10 run game last year based on per rush efficiency, and we were passing the ball all the time. It's that wasn't the strength of the team. So hopefully the passing offense is just better this year so we don't have this conversation as much, but definitely looking forward to seeing what it looks like this year. $2 from Bernard says, Ponzi, where are you from?
Well, I was born in San Diego, but I lived the last 10 years here in Texas. So I kind of say I was raised in Cali, but also in Texas, but also I lived in Hawaii. So, I mean, kind of explains a little bit of if you ever see in our prize picks the Padres there, that's my doing. That's my doing.
All right. Is that it for the Super Chats?
Got one more.
Oh, one more. Okay. Bernard with a 5 says, everybody keeps saying A-Rod is going to get hurt, but they don't say that about Joe Burrow, who's made out of glass. I think they do say it about Joe Burrow. I mean, I see people saying it in the chat right now. Like everybody talks about Joe Burrow and how injury prone he is. But with Aaron Rodgers, man, you just have to kind of acknowledge that since 2022, every single season, it's 4 years in a row now, he's dealt with some sort of injury, and a pretty major injury, right? 2022, he broke his thumb. He played through it, but it was still a major injury. It's a broken bone on his throwing hand, right? Then the next year he goes to New York, tears his Achilles. Obviously a massively devastating injury. Then the next year he dealt with a bunch of different stuff. He had ankle stuff. He had knee issues. He played through a partially torn hamstring. Didn't miss any games, I don't believe, but he was playing hurt for much of the season. And then last year, shatters his wrist, has to play through that. He misses one game, plays through it, but the last portion of the season there, he had to play with a huge cast on him. And, I think it affected maybe his psychology a little bit because every time he gets hit, he has to brace himself with a casted hand, and that's got to hurt like a bitch. So he probably was I'm getting rid of this football. Unless it's a late game situation, a 3rd and long where I have to hold the ball for longer. So I don't know, man. It's been 4 straight years where Rodgers has dealt with some sort of injury. So I hope he can stay healthy, but the reality of the situation is when you're 43 years old, you're going to be a little bit more brittle and a little bit more susceptible to injuries. So we'll see what happens. I'm hoping he stays healthy, but you just have to acknowledge the reality that there's a realistic possibility that Aaron Rodgers gets injured at some point this year. And it's honestly, I think the chances are over 50% he gets injured this year at some point. Now, the severity of the injury depends, right? But I mean, some sort of injury is probably going to happen to Aaron Rodgers this year if you just want to look at the last 4 years and how old Rodgers is at this point. All right, well, let's get into our next segment here, guys. I got 5 trade candidates that the Pittsburgh Steelers may consider trading before the start of the season this year. Then we'll get to your questions, so make sure you continue to get hashtag Steelers questions in there. Make sure you guys get Super Chat questions going if you want to guarantee your question gets on the show. And then, of course, we'll finish up the show today with our latest Madden Sim versus the Browns. So without further ado, let's get into our second segment of the day, trade candidates for the Pittsburgh Steelers after the conclusion of OTAs. Welcome into Steelers Talk by Chat Sports, presented by Prize Picks. I'm your host, Jack Sperry, and on today's show, I'm going to be taking a look and updating my list of Steelers trade candidates now that Steelers OTAs have officially come and gone, and we are officially in waiting mode for the start of Steelers training camp in Latrobe here in just a few short weeks. Now, before we get into the content today, predict it for me down there in the comment section to kick off today's show. Will the Steelers execute another trade before the start of this season? Give me a yes or a no down there in the comment section. Last year, obviously, the Steelers made a trade during this kind of waiting period for Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith. Could we see another big-time deal like that be made by the Steelers before we get to camp? Give me a yes or a no to give me your answer down there in the comments. Now, before we get into my list here, I do want to give a little bit of a disclaimer here that I am not necessarily suggesting that Pittsburgh should or necessarily will trade these players. This is not a predictions video. This is not a recommendation video. It's just I'm pointing out these 5 players that I think have somewhat of a chance to get traded before the start of the season this year. But I will say, at this point, I do think it's more likely that Pittsburgh trades away a player as opposed to trading for a player. I think that the Steelers have pretty darn good roster depth and pretty darn good roster talent overall across the board. I don't think there's a lot of places that they need to add a player at via trade. So I think at this point, if Pittsburgh does make a trade before the start of the season, it will be to trade away a player as opposed to to acquire a player like they did last year with Jalen Ramsey. But we'll start our list here with the biggest name, which is Alex Highsmith. Now, you guys know if you've been watching the channel, I do not believe the Steelers will trade Alex Highsmith, all right? I think that the plan all along was to extend Nick Herbig, keep the three-headed monster intact for this 2026 season, Aaron Rodgers' final season here in Pittsburgh, presumably, and try to win a Super Bowl this year on the backs of an elite pass rush led by these 3 men. All right, so I think I think Pittsburgh probably wants to keep Highsmith here for 2026 and then probably trade him in 2027. However, a trade request isn't necessarily impossible, which is why I put Highsmith on this list today. There's still a possibility that after the Steelers gave Nick Herbig $100 million over 4 years on his latest contract extension, obviously Watt is locked up long-term to a massive contract in his own right, that Highsmith kind of sees the writing on the wall and is like, you know what, you guys don't really believe in me long-term anyways, so I would prefer you guys to trade me now so I can get started with a new team sooner rather than later. But with that said, it doesn't really seem like Highsmith is going to do that. It seems like he's content playing this year out. He returned to Steelers OTAs after his illness, during mandatory minicamp a couple weeks ago. And I think that he's somebody that loves the Pittsburgh Steelers organization. He believes in this year's team, and he's going to show up for his teammates and show up for this group. And then he probably understands, he's probably getting traded next offseason. And I do think that's the best strategy for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Highsmith is going to be going into a contract year next year, so he's probably going to want a brand new contract extension that's going to be very, very pricey. And then also, he's going to be turning 30 during the 2027 season. So honestly, that's like the perfect time to unload Highsmith for a day 2 draft pick. And I'm hoping that he balls out this year so that the Steelers can get as good of a draft pick as possible in return for him when they eventually do trade him, likely next offseason. But what say you guys? Let me know down there in the comments section. How high of a draft pick will Pittsburgh eventually get in return for Alex Highsmith? Do you think they get a 3rd-round pick, 2nd-round pick? Do you think they can get a late first? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section for today's pinned question. But before we get into the rest of today's show, let's tell you about our presenting sponsor here on Steelers Talk, which is Prize Picks, America's #1 sports picks app. The finals are now in full swing, guys, and I'm going to be putting in a Prize Picks lineup for every game of Spurs versus Knicks this year. The app is super easy to use. You just pick more than or less than on a few player stat projections and then lock in your lineup. You can even look ahead to next year's football season here, where I've got a projection taking the more on passing yards for Aaron Rodgers, the more on receiving touchdowns for DK Metcalf, and the more on interceptions for Carson Schlesinger. This particular projection, you guys can win $105 on a $20 entry fee if you get all 3 correct in what is called a power play from our friends at Prize Picks. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to receive $50 in lineups. That's code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to get an extra $50 in lineups with Prize Picks. Click the link in the comments and description to download the app, and a big thank you to Prize Picks for sponsoring Steelers Talk. Next trade candidate on our list today is none other than second-year running back out of Iowa, Caleb Johnson. Now, after they signed Rico Dowdle, and I honestly didn't think they were going to sign a veteran running back of the caliber of Rico Dowdle in free agency this year, because I thought that they would move forward with Caleb Johnson as their plan at number 2 running back alongside Jaylen Warren. But the second that they brought in Dowdle, man, Caleb Johnson is the odd man out in this running back room here in Pittsburgh. And what's even worse for KJ is that he doesn't really bring a ton of versatility on special teams. Of course, he had that big blunder as a return man last year in the Seattle Seahawks game. And, he's not really like a versatile kind of Swiss Army knife receiving back either. He's not very good in pass protection. Like, he doesn't do a whole lot outside of actually running the football that he's really known for. So he's going to have to develop that skill set and prove that to this new Steelers coaching staff. By the way, this coaching staff was not the staff to draft him. It's the same GM, but it's not the same coaching staff or the same scheme. So listen, man, I think if someone offers a decent day 3 pick for KJ, like the Green Bay Packers, who, they got a running back in Josh Jacobs that's in some legal hot water right now, I think that there's a chance that he could get dealt, all right? Like, especially if they really like Eli Heidenreich coming out of Navy, and he really shows himself to be a versatile kind of Swiss Army knife chess piece for them. Travis Homer is a special teams ace that they're probably going to keep on the team this year. There's an opportunity to trade Caleb for a decent draft pick here. Would not shock me if the Steelers take up that opportunity and add to their draft capital for 2027. But then another guy here that could get dealt is Asante Samuel Jr. And I think the original plan was to sign Asante Samuel Jr. for cheap, and he would be the CB2 this year. But then the Steelers got into free agency, and they discovered that they could sign Jamel Dean for pennies on the dollar, get a great value for him, and they took that opportunity. So, that kind of puts Asante in kind of a weird spot here, where he's the CB3, and, he's been an established starting corner in this league for a while now. But if Pittsburgh could potentially get a decent day 3 pick for Asante Samuel Jr., somebody that is really hurting for cornerback help and established starting help at that position, I think the Steelers have pretty decent depth at the cornerback position behind Asante Samuel Jr. to be able to afford a trade like that, especially if rookie out of Georgia, Dalen Everett, continues to impress. He was reportedly super impressive during OTAs this year. If that continues when the pads go on in Latrobe, Pittsburgh has cornerback depth. They really do, guys. You can take a look here. Obviously, Corey Trice Jr. got cut here, but then if you get rid of Asante Samuel Jr., you still have Brandon Echols and Dalen Everett, both of which can play on the outside. If there's an injury to JPJ or Jamel Dean, you still have Jalen Ramsey, who in a pinch could play outside corner as well. So I look at this situation as one where Asante Samuel Jr. is potentially a nice trade chip to use, and if somebody's willing to give you a decent draft pick for him, would not shock me if the Steelers end up dealing him, especially if Dalen Everett continues to impress in training camp. But then we'll finish up today's list here with a pair of quarterbacks, Will Howard and Mason Rudolph. Now, one of these quarterbacks, I believe, will not be on the final Steelers roster this year. I don't believe the idea that the Steelers are going to keep 4 quarterbacks on the active roster this year in a win-now season. That doesn't make a lot of sense. And personally, I don't really think anybody wants to trade for these guys. The Steelers are hyping up both of them to probably, boost their trade stock, or at least in their mind, boost their trade stock. But Mason Rudolph is a nearly 30-year-old career backup. Don't think anyone's given up a draft pick for him unless it's like a conditional 7th or something like that. And Will Howard, he hasn't done anything in the National Football League. Hasn't even played a single down in a preseason game yet. So it's just hard to imagine anyone would trade anything for either of these quarterbacks. And the Steelers will probably just end up cutting whoever doesn't end up making this roster. But if you can get something for the odd man out in this quarterback room, you should. Like, if you can get an additional 7th round pick, why not? That's another dart throw next year in the NFL draft on day 3. So, if you can trade one of these guys, I would do it. I would probably definitely prefer Mason Rudolph to trade him away at this point. But let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. Who do you think is going to be the QB2 here in Pittsburgh? Do you think it's going to be Mason Rudolph, type MR? Or do you think Will Howard is going to steal that job away from the veteran backup? Type WH if you think Will be the number 2 quarterback here in Pittsburgh this year. And that'll be it for today's edition of Steelers Talk by Chat Sports, presented by Prize Picks. If you guys want to help us out today, type those real ones down there in the comment section, because you've already made it to the end of the show, and I want to show some love to the people that made it to the end. So if you did so, make sure you identify yourself as a real one down there in the comment section. And again, guys, that'll be it for today's edition of Steelers Talk by Chat Sports. Thank you guys so much for joining me here today. I'll catch you guys next time, and until then, here we go, Steelers. All right, second segment in the books. We got one more to go. Oh, baby, a $20 super chat from Marco, man, coming in here with a 20. Big baller Marco says, I don't get the Ravens hype. The OC is a 29-year-old who got the Bears job because Mike Donta is his uncle. No new weapons besides 2 late-round picks, and the O-line has more questions. Baltimore's asking Lamar to play Superman yet again. Yeah, man, I really respect Jesse Minter as a defensive mind, and I think that defense will be better. But, there's a lot of questions on the offensive side of the ball. All right, more than a lot of people want to care to admit because they got Lamar Jackson, right? They have the multiple-time MVP of the league on their offense and Derrick Henry, and that combination of talents, plus Zay Flowers and those types of players. But like you point out, the offensive line has a lot of question marks on it heading into the year, all right? Also, we saw signs of Lamar Jackson slowing down last year. He was still holding the ball for as long as he's always held the ball, but he was getting sacked a lot more. He wasn't escaping the way that he was earlier on in his career during his MVP seasons. And, when he gets older, and now, he's 30, right? He's getting up there. It's one of these situations where the older he gets and the slower he gets and the less acceleration he has, the more he's going to get sacked unless he learns how to get the ball out of his hands quickly, which he really never has been able to develop. So there's a world here where, Lamar Jackson, with the injuries that he's had throughout his career, the age, it catches up to him. And his style of play of running around, making plays out of structure, running with the football, he's been a good in-structure passer in his career, but a big part of his game has always been hold the ball, make plays out of structure. If that element starts to dwindle, he's not going to be, an elite caliber superstar in this league anymore. And you're going to have to put a decent surrounding cast around him if you want a chance to win a Super Bowl. And then they do have a very inexperienced offensive coordinator. We don't know if Declan Doyle can call plays, right? We don't know. It's possible that he's just a dud. So, I think that there are plenty of question marks surrounding Baltimore heading into the year. And I think that there's a decent chance that they're not as good as a lot of people are expecting. And the Steelers, there is a world here where they're once again the best team in this division, Ponzi. There just is. So, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. Cincinnati's made some improvements to the defense if Burrow can stay healthy.
So he was saying Mike Ditka is his uncle.
Yeah, Ditka.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, I hate the Ravens, man. I hope that they suck this year, right? I hope Jesse Minter just has no idea what the fuck he's doing as a head coach. And that's one of the maybe the advantages that the Steelers have over the Ravens, Ponzi, is that you got a very inexperienced head coach in Baltimore. You got a very experienced head coach here in Pittsburgh. So at least in the short term, you could say, McCarthy's not learning on the job. Jesse Minter absolutely is. So I think there's a world where the Ravens are awesome, but there's also a world where they're not as awesome and they take another step backwards, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. All right, well, we got plenty of questions here, right, Ponzi? I think we're ready to get into this mailbag here, and then after the mailbag, we'll be getting into our next Madden sim, so don't go anywhere here, guys. It's my favorite segment of the week. The Steelers Talk Mailbag is coming at you right now. Welcome into Steelers Talk by Chat Sports, presented by Prize Picks. I'm your host, Jack Sperry, and today it is my favorite segment of the week. It is the Steelers Talk Mailbag, where I answer your questions on the black and gold here, now that the Steelers OTAs have officially concluded in the south side of Pittsburgh. But before we get into the content today, before we get to your questions, make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already to join what we've tried to build, the most interactive Steelers fan community anywhere here on YouTube for Steelers fans, right? We've accumulated accumulated nearly 120,000 subscribers now. It's crazy to say that number. We are currently the largest individually run Steelers news program anywhere here on YouTube. And I think a big part of that is we try to keep this thing interactive for you guys. We go live twice a week to talk Steelers football. We have daily community posts for you to share your take on a bunch of different Steelers topics. We're live for every single Steelers game or where we react to the season together. We try to do our best to give Steelers fans a community that they can go to every single week to talk Steelers football with people who bleed black and gold. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Greatly appreciate your guys' support. All right, we'll start here with Marco Man with a 10. Says McCarthy said that Darnell allows the team to run a 90s style offense. Does that mean we're going to be a run-first offense, or is he talking about his versatility in the play-action game? It's a little bit of both. I think what he really means is, you have that big wide tight end, which is becoming less and less common in the National Football League, right? Tight ends nowadays are almost more receiving weapons, matchup problem type of players, as opposed to actual blockers, okay? A big reason for that is, defenses play a lot of nickel, so you don't necessarily feel the need to have like a massive hulking blocking tight end that doesn't provide a whole lot of receiving upside. You want your tight ends to be able to provide that receiving upside. But having a guy like Darnell allows this team to play heavier, 12 personnel. That's definitely a 90s staple, and have two tight ends on the field at the same time. And Darnell, with how big and strong and how good he is as a blocker, essentially gives you an extra offensive lineman. So that's a huge advantage. But then also, getting the tight ends involved in terms of the check flats and the run after the catch stuff, I think is also what he's alluding to there. So certainly expect Darnell and Pat, talking about Freiermuth there, to both be used very heavily in this offense. I think there will be a lot of 12 personnel looks, especially on early downs in this offense. And, I don't think it's going to go to the levels that Arthur Smith took this, where he had 12 and 13 personnel out there at a higher percentage than like any team and any offense in the NFL over the last 20 years, like it was last year. But I do think that we'll see quite a bit of heavy personnel here in Pittsburgh this year, and Darnell is a big part of that. Then we got 10 from Kareem Richardson. Says, do you think the Steelers will sign Baker Mayfield to take over after Rodgers, or they stick with Howard or Aller? I think they're going to stick probably with a younger quarterback and a cost-effective option, because the thing with Baker is that if you bring him in, he's going to be expensive, especially if he has a pretty decent season this year in Tampa. It's going to be at least $40 to $50 million a season. It might even be more than that, depending on how well he actually plays. And with the way that the Steelers cap is set up with all these big contracts on young players now, there's not a whole lot of room to sign Baker Mayfield to that kind of contract and keep a lot of the good veterans on your team. So that kind of juxtaposes two things, right? If you get Baker Mayfield, you're trying to win now as an organization, but in order to get Baker, you have to pretty much release, cut, trade all of your win now type of talents around him. So that's just not something that makes a lot of sense to me. I think the Steelers are clearly built to be a team quarterbacked by a cost-effective option at that position. So whether that's Howard or Aller, whether that's a first-round rookie next year, whether that's a cost-effective veteran next year again, I think that the starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2027 will be cost-effective, just because it kind of needs to be to keep this kind of core together. So right now, if gun to my head, I would say Drew Aller is going to be the starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2027. I think he does enough behind the scenes after a year learning from Rodgers for the team to move forward with him as their starting quarterback next year, and they'll kind of roll the dice and hope Drew Aller ends up being their franchise quarterback starting in 2027. So make the call for me down there in the comment section. Would you sign Baker Mayfield for a $50+ million contract next offseason? Give me a yes or a no down there in the comment section to answer today's pinned question. And while you guys give me a yes or a no, let me tell you about today's sponsor here at Prize Picks, which is America's #1 sports picks app. The World Cup is finally here, so you can get your soccer lineups in over the next several weeks, or if that's not really your thing, Prize Picks has a number of other sports to choose from, like baseball and more, to enhance your sports viewing experience this summer. You guys can take a look here at this particular lineup on the Prize Picks app. Looking ahead to next year's football season, I'm taking the more on passing yards for Aaron Rodgers, the more on receiving touchdowns for DK Metcalf, and the more on interceptions for Carson Schlesinger. This is what's called a power play on the Prize Picks app, so you have to get all three correct to cash out, but you guys can come away with more winnings if you do so. With this particular projection, can come away with $105 on a $20 entry fee. So if you guys want to get in on the fun now, download the Prize Picks app today. Use code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to receive $50 in lineups. That's code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to receive an extra $50 in lineups with our friends at Prize Picks. Click the link in the comments and description to download the app today, and a big thank you to Prize Picks for sponsoring Steelers Talk. My man Czar Craig coming in with a question here. He says, I know it's early, but do you think the running back room is overcrowded? How do you anticipate the snaps being split up between them? Well, I think that the snaps is probably the least complicated portion of this, Craig, where I think it's just going to be a split between two guys. I don't think Caleb Johnson will really be a true part of this rotation. I think it'll be Rico Dowdle. It's more of your early down option, and then you've got Jaylen Warren as more of your passing down option. And, I think they're going to try and split that workload pretty 50-50. And sure, could Caleb Johnson get a rep here or there? Sure, but he's not really going to be a part of the equation unless there's an injury, in my opinion. Then you add on Travis Homer to that group, not really going to be a part of the equation on offense unless, again, there's injuries. He'll be more of a special team specialist, and then maybe they have Eli Heidenreich if he can carve out some sort of role for himself on special teams. If he's impressive in the preseason, you can use him as kind of a weapon. We'll kind of see how Eli does during the preseason and training camp and whether he can find himself a role on this team. But I kind of feel like that's kind of what it is at this point, which is another reason why I think there's a chance Caleb Johnson could get traded. Like if there's a team out there that's willing to give a pretty decent draft pick for him, early to mid, day 3 draft pick, I don't think the Steelers would necessarily say no to that, especially if Eli Heidenreich, Riley Nowakowski, and others are really performing well in their given roles. I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Steelers are willing to let go of Caleb Johnson. Then we got one from D Sotlins. I'm definitely butchering that, but he says, do you think that win now mode is sustainable in seasons to come, or that will eventually the Steelers will need to embrace a rebuild? Just depends on the results of the upcoming seasons, right? Like if this year, all these veterans, because let's face it, the Steelers are still one of the oldest rosters in the league, especially on defense. And, if some of these players, Cam Hayward slows down, TJ Watt continues to regress, Patrick Queen doesn't play well, Jalen Ramsey continues to regress, Jamel Dean shows signs of aging. There's a world here where those things happen. And, the writing's just on the wall where it's like you got to get rid of these veteran bodies and bring in younger, faster players, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But I think if the Steelers had their way here, Drew Aller develops enough where he becomes this team's next franchise quarterback, and he's on a rookie contract for 3 years starting from 2027, 2028, and 2029. And that's going to allow this team to surround him with some really good talent on both sides of the ball, like they have surrounded their quarterbacks over the last several seasons, right? So I think that they're going to continue to try and get that win now mode. I mean, the Steelers never try to lose. They very rarely rebuild. They're hoping that this is a smooth transition from the Aaron Rodgers era at quarterback to Drew Aller at quarterback, and that they can continue to spend money on players outside of the quarterback position, with Aller being this team's next franchise guy. So make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already. If you are a real one, if you watch all of our shows, you watch our live shows, you put questions on the mailbags, all that different stuff. Real ones know clicking that thumbs up icon is the easiest way to help out the channel because it boosts the YouTube algorithm on this particular video and gets our video in front of newer Steelers audiences. So if you guys want to help us out today, clicking that thumbs up icon is the best way to do so. Got one from CPL. Says, which quarterback is the odd man out this season? Right now, my best guess is Mason. The reason for that is I think that, all the positive things that they've been saying about Will Howard this year, I don't think it's all bullshit. I think they do like some of the things that he brings to the table. And I think that it's true that he has done everything that they've asked him to do and has hit every step along the way. Also, it sounds like Mason might be dealing with a little bit of a lower body injury. And, I think that it's going to come down to what Will does in the preseason and in training camp. If they feel that Will Howard is even or maybe slightly behind or even surpasses Mason Rudolph and where he's at a quarterback at this point, they're going to go with Will. He's younger. He's got more theoretical starter upside. He's got a lower cap hit, all those different things. Now, if Howard just sucks in training camp, if he sucks into the preseason, the Steelers don't have trust in him to play in an NFL game if called upon, then yeah, it'll be Will Howard that gets cut and Mason Rudolph will be the QB2. But right now, I do believe that QB2 job is Will Howard's to lose, and I think he'll do good enough to get that job by the time we get to roster cutdown day. Got one from Kevin Reed, says, with the new high-powered offense, do you think Howard gets in the fourth quarter in any game this season? I don't know, man. We'll see. I'd love that opportunity, right? I'd love to be kicking somebody's ass so bad that we can put in our backup quarterback for a couple series, but that's not where my head is at, Kevin. Like, my head right now is, can we win these football games? Not, are we blowing teams out so badly that we can put in a backup quarterback? That's not where my head is really at. Hopefully that opportunity presents itself. Hell, hopefully the Steelers win so many games in the regular season that Howard can get a start or two at the end of the year to give Rodgers a rest at the end of the year. Like, obviously those things would be great, but those are things that are very rare, and I'm not sure if I'm necessarily have those high of expectations for the Pittsburgh Steelers this year. So true or false, let me know down there in the comments section. Pittsburgh's defense will be a top 3 unit this year. Type T if you think that statement is true and will be true, or type F if you think that statement will end up being false. That'll be it for this week's mailbag, though, guys. Some really great questions. Thank you so much to everybody that submitted questions this week on the live show where we actually film these mailbags. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already, because we do a mailbag every single week, and we go live twice a week. So if you don't want to miss any of our content, including our live content, make sure you guys click that subscribe button and turn on those notifications so you always know when we go live. All right, so now let's get into our latest submission in our Madden simulated season. It's week 8 versus the Cleveland Browns. The Steelers beat the Browns in the first game, 17-14. If you'll remember, the Browns had the ball at like the 8-yard line and let the clock run out on them in the fourth quarter to lose the game. Some terrible coaching from what's his face, Todd Monken. But as we sit right now in our simulated season, the Pittsburgh Steelers currently sit at 5-2. They've only lost 2 games, both of which have been at home, surprisingly, in the opener versus Atlanta and then also to the Colts back in week 5. But they've won 2 straight. They dominated Tampa Bay in Tampa. Then they went to Paris and beat the New Orleans Saints. That was on our Wednesday live stream. But now we're sitting at 6-2. This game against the Browns at home is the last game before the bye. 6-2 record heading into the bye would certainly put this team in position to be a playoff team this year. So hopefully
5-2.
I know, but I said if they win this game, they'll be 6-2.
Oh, I thought you said 6-2. My bad. My fault.
F. Ponzi in the chat for correcting something that didn't need to be corrected. But shout out to Ponzi for getting this stream ready for us here. Here we go. Week 8 in the NFL, trying to get to 6-2. The kick is away. Cleveland gets the ball first. It's going to be fielded at the 6-yard line and gets past the 30. Decent return to the 31.
And there comes Shador.
So if you'll remember, Deshaun Watson was the starting quarterback the first time we played Cleveland. This time around, Todd Monken's had enough of Massage Boy. Shador Sanders is back as the starting quarterback of Cleveland here in Pittsburgh. It's going to be a 5-step drop, and now an immediate sack to start this game from Alex Highsmith. Let's go. Perfect timing. Let's go. Show the watch. Everybody type the watches in the chat.
Type AP.
Everyone type the watches in the chat. First place sack, Alex Highsmith. And we are off and running here in week 8. Let's go, man. Now they have to go in shotgun. They spread it out. Shotgun for Shador. Takes the snap, looking. Clean pocket, throws short, caught. And we'll take it out to about the 35. It'll be 3rd down and 6. Type those threes. Type those threes. All right, they come out, shotgun, trips left. Single receiver out to the right, takes the snap. Shedeur looking, clean pocket, steps up. Has all day to throw, now throws to the flat, caught, but he's going to be tackled short of the sticks. Looks like that's Deshaun Elliott on the tackle. It'll be 4th down and 4. Steelers force a 3 and out on Shedeur and the Browns to kick off this week. Let's go, man.
While they punt, although we don't know if it's going to get blocked again because it's happened a lot.
Yeah, an abnormal amount of blocked punts in this simulated season. The kick is away. It's going to be fielded and fair caught at the 13. That's where Aaron Rodgers in the Steelers offense will take the field for the first time today. Chance to take this game by the horns. $5 from Bernard says A-Rod is the only QB to have at least 500 TDs and 6,600 passing yards and at least 3,000 rushing yards and 36 rushing TDs. He's one of a kind, man. Under center here, handoff to Jalen Warren. Big hole up the middle, and he'll pick up a 15-yard gain all the way down to the 28. First down, Steelers. Shout out to Bernard for the 5.
Another 5.
This is why do people think A-Rod doing ayahuasca and the darkness retreat is weird? Because it's weird.
It is weird.
It's okay. It's okay to admit that Aaron Rodgers is kind of a weird guy. It doesn't mean he's a bad guy. It just means he's a little bit weird. Shotgun here, 2-by-2 formation, takes a snap, another handoff, and another big hole up the middle for Warren. And there he goes, all the way down to midfield. First down, Steelers. Jalen Warren has been awesome these last several weeks in the run game for Pittsburgh. I think he's one of the most underrated running backs in all of football, Ponzi. Elite contact balance, great vision. Good long speed, too. Like, it's not much to not love about Jalen Warren. He's good pass protector, good pass catcher out of the backfield, one of the most well-rounded running backs in the league. Now Rodgers will gear up to throw. Out route, caught, first down, and that looks like it is that Muth? I don't know.
Looked like it.
I'm just going to do it anyway. Muth! First down, Steelers. I mean, what a drive this has been. No negative steps backward here. It's just been a straight march down the field that started at the Steelers' own 13. Now they go into shotgun. Rodgers will take the snap, hand it off to Warren. Great blocking up front again. He gets down to the 31 for a gain of 4. And yes, Myles Garrett is not on the field, of course, as he's been traded to the Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah, I did forget to change Jared Verse's number, so it is 95, it looks like.
Oh, okay. So
it's the same thing.
So Jared Verse is 95, I guess, and apparently he's an X Factor.
Yeah, I didn't know he was an X Factor. This roster is a little weird because, like, Rico Dowdle's a superstar.
Yeah, that is weird. Now a handoff, short gain for Pittsburgh. It'll be 3rd down and 4. Here we go. Don't want to settle for a field goal. Trips right, Rodgers. Takes the snap. Clean pocket. Now looking to run. Throws on the run. And it's going to be contested catch. Nice grab by Muth. Let's go, baby. First down, Steelers. Contested grab. A throw on the run from Rodgers. Looks like he was hit as he was throwing, too. Tight window. Muth snatches that thing. Moves the chains. Keeps the drive alive. And now shotgun here for Rodgers. 2-by-2. Takes the snap. Quick throw. Little dart slant. Caught. Oh, my goodness. Good little run after here from Jeremy Bernard, the rookie out of Alabama. Gets inside the 5 to the Browns 4. Steelers going through that Cleveland defense like it's nothing. Now just one receiver. Metcalf all by himself. There's nobody on Metcalf. Just throw it to Metcalf. They're going to toss it, and they're going to just get a yard from Dowdle. This is unrealistic, Ponzi, because any quarterback. Well, I guess Ponzi didn't trade Myles Garrett.
I didn't trade him.
We're just going to pretend that that's Jared Verse is going to.
Because I did trade him.
Everyone go F Ponzi in the chat.
For real.
F Ponzi.
This might have been recorded before, though.
Shotgun here, Rodgers looking, throwing, end zone, wide open. No, is he open? No, he dropped it. Incomplete. So we're just going to pretend that Jared Verse is going to have the best game of his life here, all right? So here we go. 3rd down and goal. Shotgun Rodgers. Trips right. Takes the snap. Throws. Oh my goodness. I don't even know. There's 2 wide open receivers. Rodgers just missed them. Overthrew it. It'll be 4th down and goal. Do the Steelers take the points or do they go for it? Boswell ready to run onto the field. And they will just take the points here. I would go for this, Ponzi, but it's Madden logic, I guess. Ponzi, if we lose this game because Myles Garrett just absolutely takes over.
Yeah, definitely an F Ponzi in the chat here.
We will flood this comment section with F Ponzis.
Yeah, well, that's a little rough right there.
Kicks away from Boswell. It's going to be fielded at around the 2.5 and taken to the 22. And that's where Shedeur will strut his stuff back out there.
Shedeur and Aaron Rodgers walk out the same
douchebag.
Whoa.
He is. He's a douche.
Okay.
Under center. Takes a little drop, throws it. Caught by Fannin, and he picks up 3.
Surprised it wasn't batted down like that clip we saw in OTAs. All the defender did was stand still and put his hands up.
So here we go now. Shotgun, 3 receiver set for Shedeur. Takes the snap. Pressure getting in on him. And there goes Captain Cam bringing him down. And a big sack. It'll be 3rd and very long coming up. Type those sacks in the chat. Type those sacks in the chat. Put the watches in the chat. Perfect timing. Let's go. That was some perfect timing for a sack right there, Ponzi.
Was that the 3rd one?
Second one.
Second.
Alex Highsmith has one. Cam Hayward has one. Let's get Watt one. Let's get Queenie one. Let's get Ramsey one. Everybody gets a sack on Shedeur Sanders. Shotgun here for Shedeur. Takes the snap. You'll throw middle. Oh, incomplete. Looked like it went off the hands of Jerry Jeudy. Realistic. Very realistic. Yeah. Jerry Jeudy dropping a pass. Very realistic stuff from Madden. Jaquan Brisker there to break it up. It'll be 4th and 13. Another 3 and out forced by the Steelers defense. Kicks away.
Not seen a lot of good returns recently.
It's going to be fielded by Weegan. He gets to the 31. And it's just going to fast forward here to Rodgers with a 2 tight end set out there with a stack and a nasty split out to the right. Send a man in motion. Cross formation here. That's going to go jet sweep. It's blown up immediately. Gave it right to Michael Pittman Jr., and I believe that's Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah,
who also isn't going to play.
Who's also not playing this year.
That's the roster's fault. That's not mine.
Everybody go boo!
That's not my fault. That's the roster's
Everybody
fault.
Boo, Ponzi, boo! This defense has 2 players on it that aren't on this team. If we lose this game because of the defense...
Well, if you lose a game versus Shedeur, I think that speaks more testament.
No.
Unless it's like an offensive touchdown.
They go empty here after the 3-yard loss on the jet sweep. The Matt Canada special. Now Rodgers throws in the seam and overthrows him. Another missed throw from Rodgers. Incomplete. 3rd and 13 coming up. For as good as the defense is playing, man, like the offense not picking up this group.
They've been playing pretty good as of late.
Ponzi, if we lose this game, we may have to do a redo. I might have to make the executive decision to redo this game. It's going to be thrown middle, wide open, caught, but just short of the sticks. Good throw from Rodgers.
Only if a loss happens.
If we lose, we may have to think about redoing. But if we win, we win.
If it's a good game, you can.
All right, kick is away. It's going to be fielded. No fair catch. Breaks a tackle. Gets down to the 22, and that's where the Browns will take over again here. Shotgun here. Takes the snap. Play action. Going to put it in Shadur's hands again. He holds it too long. Falls on the ground. Picked up by the Browns. Oh, my gosh. A sack fumble recovered by Cleveland. It's still a loss of 8. Who got this one? Is it Cam again?
Dude.
Cam Hayward absolutely balling out. Gets Shadur on the ground. Gets him to fumble. 2nd down and 18. Type those watches. Type those watches, baby. Let's go. Now Cam Hayward has his X Factor activated. Shadur better watch out. Shadur looking. Nothing there. Now stepping up, trying to run. Now he just launches down the field.
No.
Flag on the play. I think it's caught. Pass interference on the defense. It's a spot foul. So Cleveland will take over on the Steelers 30. What a lucky prayer thrown up by Shadur, now under center. Hands off. Judkins runs through some tackles, and he's going to pick up 9.5.
Wow.
Christopher says, missed the whole live show, but here for the Madden sim. It's the only part that you really need to show up for, man. It's the only required viewing. So here we go, shotgun. Heavy formation for Cleveland. Takes the snap, hands it off. Judkins, good blocking up front, spin move. Takes it for about 5 yards and a first down. Look at Pittman's hair. What is Pittman's hair?
Yeah, Jennings dunkier hair too.
It's got like a fro or something. All right, under center here is Shadur, takes the snap, 3-step drop, now throws with a little short pass. He picks up about 10, another first down. Is Cleveland about to take the lead in this game?
Dude.
What are we doing, Pittsburgh? Had 2 3-and-outs. And then they get a massive prayer on offense on a 3rd and very long. And now here we go. Handoff, Judkins gets buried by Highsmith. Down at the 3, 2nd down and goal. Yes, Czar Craig asking the important questions here. The real question, what place was the winner for dinner on Wednesday night? Where did I go? Oh, I went to get pizza at this really good pizza place here called Neoni. Huh? Under center, handoff, not going anywhere. Highsmith again. He's been an absolute beast in this game. It's a loss of 1. 3rd down and goal. Type those 3s. Marco Man says, wow, it's so much easier to run with Garrett gone. Not exactly, Marco Man. Not exactly. F. Ponzi in the chat. Under center here. Condensed bunch out to the right. Single receiver Boston out to the left. Shadur looking. Nothing there. Now looking to run. Wide open. Dives in. Touchdown Browns. Cleveland takes the lead. Everyone take boo! Boo!
Dude, I swear, if the Steelers lose another game at home.
What is Highsmith doing, too? He's just going out there. There's no receivers. This is what I hate about Madden AI, dude, is that they just go out in zone coverage and like they don't have any wherewithal as to like, oh, there's no receivers in my area.
Supposedly EA's fixing that.
They better. So it's a joke.
Extra point. Almost.
Kick is up and good. 7-3 Cleveland.
Bernard with the 2. Saying, A-Rod is a California hippie. Oh.
He absolutely is, man. But California hippies are weird. And that's okay to be weird. It's not a bad thing to be weird sometimes, as long as you're not doing anything bad and weird. Kick is away. It's going to be fielded at around the 4 and taken to the 25. Decent return there. Jalen Warren already with 42 yards and averaging a first down per carry. How about we get the ball to 30?
Yeah, this is definitely Steelers-like of getting away from the run after it's working.
Aspect is asking, what's our record? Steelers are 5-2 in our Madden simulated season so far. Now Rodgers in trouble. He has to get rid of it.
Jared Miles Garrett.
There's Jared versus Garrett right there. F. Ponzi in the chat.
Once again.
Every time Garrett or Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah makes a play in this game, everyone type F. Ponzi.
Hey, JOK was in our last game too, I just noticed.
Under center here, condensed formation for Rodgers. We'll take the snap, hand it off to Warren, and he doesn't get anything. That's an Arthur Smith special right there, running the ball for a short gain on 2nd down and 10.
There's only one way to get Jaylen Warren stopped, and it's apparently just running it down on 2nd down and 10 for no reason.
3rd down and 9. Can Rodgers dig him out here? They're going to go on heavy for multiple running back set here with doubles left. Takes the snap, 3-step drop. Nothing there initially. Now Rodgers throws middle. It's going to be caught by Metcalf. 1st down. Rodgers found a guy and dug us out. 1st down Steelers. Let's go. Type those ones.
A lot of happy feet from the two quarterbacks so far.
I mean, no platform there for Rodgers either. Put it right on the money. 1st down and 10.
I see ghosts. McCarthy has quite the tan.
Yep, McCarthy. He must have fell asleep outside during the day in Latrobe. You flip him over, he is ghost white. He's going to hand it off. Look at Warren just bouncing off of tackles, weaving his way through, getting all the way down to the 31-yard line. 1st down, Steelers. He's already up to 71 yards on the game.
Feed him.
Feeding 30. Keep feeding Warren. Shotgun here for Rodgers. He'll take the snap. He's looking. Now shifting in the pocket. Running out of time. It has to throw it away. Is that Jared versus Garrett again?
Jared versus Garrett.
Is that Jared versus Garrett once again?
Yeah, this was recorded before the trade.
F. Ponzi for not re-recording.
Yeah, I forgot about it. Not gonna lie.
Shotgun here for Rodgers. Takes the snap. Looking. Clean pocket for now. Now it's fumbled and it's recovered. No, it's picked up by the Browns. Are you kidding me?
So that wasn't even Garrett.
Alex Wright comes in, forces the fumble on Rodgers, and now the Browns have the football and the lead. You got to be kidding me, guys. What is it about the Steelers and playing at home? Also, how did Mason McCormick not pick up that ball?
Well, he was trying to run.
What are we doing?
Bro, just fall on it.
Now Jaylen Warren has almost 100 yards rushing. We only have 3 points to show for it. Now we're less than 2 minutes away from halftime. At least the Steelers get the ball out of the half, but now Cleveland has a chance to go up 2 scores. Handoff here. Judkins spins out of it and picks up 4. Second down and 6. Shotgun here for Sanders. Takes the snap. He's got a clean pocket. He's got room to run if he wants it. Now he takes too long. He's going to get sacked again. Actually, I think he gained a yard there, so it's technically not a sack. It's a gain of 1 on a rush from Shedeur Sanders. Be 3rd down and 5. Type those 3s. I guess Pittsburgh doesn't want to use timeouts here for some reason.
Yeah.
Takes the snap, condensed formation. They send blitz, and oh my goodness, he's rocked by Ramsey. Timeout, Pittsburgh. Oh my goodness, Jalen Ramsey just absolutely laid Shedeur Sanders out.
Clotheslined him. Jesus.
Fourth down and 12. And the kick's away. It's going to be fielded at the 10-yard line. Weegan, another short return, only gets to the 14. 44 seconds to go here for the Steelers and 2 timeouts to try and get in field goal range. But it does appear that they will be losing at home at the half to the Browns. Shotgun here. 2-by-2 formation, or actually 2-by-3 formation. Rodgers looking for the quick throw, and it's incomplete, poorly thrown.
Where's the second?
No, third. There's one at the goal line on that 3rd down and goal. There was that one to start the next drive, and then there was that one.
Yeah. Hopefully next year's Madden will be better with this.
Shotgun here with Rodgers. Trips right. Takes the snap. Rodgers looking. He's got some time. Now he throws to the out route, covered, incomplete. 3rd down and 10. Cleveland might get this ball back, man. All right, Rodgers, come on, man. Trips right. He'll take the snap. He's looking. Now he'll throw to Metcalf, contested, incomplete, but a flag. Yeah, give us pass interference. There we go. Or was it on us?
It was on us.
It was on Metcalf. What?
Are you kidding?
I don't think I've ever seen offensive pass interference in a Madden game. Ever. How does that get called against us? That's a joke. Kicks away and fair caught at the 38. Now Cleveland, 3 timeouts, has 27 seconds to try and make this a touchdown lead.
Jesus. Christopher saying Madden has been kind of bad on Rodgers on the accuracy this year. Yeah.
Trips left. Shotgun. Sanders takes the snap. Play action. Now pressure on him. Has to escape. And he finds a man. Flag on the play as TJ Watt, who was out in coverage, makes the tackle. Let's see what the flag is. Holding on Cleveland. All right. Back him up. Quinshon Judkins held.
I've never seen holding on a running back in Madden.
And now Cleveland goes with a heavy personnel choice here. Handoff. Judkins bounces it outside. He's not going to get far, and he's tackled in bounds. I do not believe Cleveland's going to call timeout. And that will take us to halftime. So while halftime is playing here, let me tell you about our sponsor today here at Prize Picks, America's #1 sports picks app. The finals are now in full swing, and I'm going to be putting a Prize Picks lineup in for every single game of Spurs versus Knicks this year. The app is super easy to use. You just pick more than or less than on a few player stat projections and then lock in your lineup. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to receive $50 in lineups. That's code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to get an extra $50 in lineups with Prize Picks. Click the link in the comments and description to download the app. And big thank you to Prize Picks for sponsoring Steelers Talk Live. All right, so we're at half here. 7-3 is the score. Cleveland is up. So this Steelers offense, it's been pretty decent putting up points in this simulated season, is struggling in this one. Now, Ponzi did have Myles Garrett on the Browns. So F Ponzi in the chat. Kick is away, and the Steelers will get the ball to start the second half. The return is for Bernard, tries to spin out of it. It's not going to work. He gets to the 23.
Dude, they are not kicking to Weegan.
No, they are not. And here comes Rodgers and the Steelers offense trying to get it figured out. A win would mean the Steelers improved to 6-2 heading into the bye week. A loss would mean 5-3 heading into the bye week. Under center, offset I formation, quick throw off his back foot, and it's caught by Metcalf. Looked like he bobbled it, but it's a gain of 8. Paranormal in the fun houses, they need to face scan more players this year. I completely agree with that. TJ Watt looks nothing like TJ Watt.
They've used the same Rodgers face scan for like 6 years in a row.
Under center here, I formation, toss play, and it's going to be a loss. Arthur Smith special with the toss. And it's going to be 3rd down and 4. Oh, Lordy.
Let's get some Raji magic right now, man.
Now they go empty with Rodgers. He's got trips right, doubles left. Metcalf in the slot. Takes the snap. Quick throw. It's a little screen. I like this. Well blocked. And there's Jared versus Garrett making the tackle on Michael Pittman Jr. First down Steelers, though. Nice play call at the right time there by Mike McCarthy. And now the Steelers will go under center again with multiple tight ends. Takes the snap. Handoff Warren. He's going to have to make a man miss. He cannot. No gain. It's Carson Schlesinger, the excellent second-year linebacker out of Cleveland. Or out of UCLA, my mistake. Plays for Cleveland.
Yeah. He's a beast.
Here we go. Trips right from shotgun. They've been in this formation all game long, it feels like. Rodgers will take the snap. He will look. He will bomb it down the sideline. Open. No, not open, but it's caught. And he runs past the safety. Touchdown, DK Metcalf. DK, have it your way. He scores. Let's go. Rodgers bombs it down the field.
Double covered. Don't matter.
I mean, he was technically he beat the corner so bad, and then Hickman, the safety, tried to make a play on the ball, but Metcalf snatched it and ran right by him. And the Steelers, just like that, take the lead back from Cleveland and turn this game on its face. That's huge, man. Everyone type those TDs in the chat. Show me them TDs. Let's go.
We drop over there.
Looks like a remote. We're cool. All right, big time hookup from Rodgers to Metcalf for the touchdown. And Pittsburgh is up 10-7. You're with about 5 minutes to go in the third quarter.
Aspect says Russell Wilson tribute moonball.
Yes. To Metcalf, of all people, who, of course, played with Russ in Washington. Not Washington. Seattle, Washington.
Technically Washington, yeah.
And this return will go out to the 23, and that's where Shedeur Sanders and the Browns will retake over. Only reason why they have any points at all is because of a ridiculous defensive pass interference call.
Well, I mean, it's still caught.
I guess that's true. He did catch it. But now offset I formation. Under center is Shedeur. You go play action. He's got time in the pocket. Now time's running out. Here comes Watt. He has to throw it wide open on the corner. First down to Denzel Boston. Pressure needs to get to Shedeur a little faster there, Ponzi, but the rookie out of Washington here makes the big-time reception. So they're already down to the 47. Come on, let's get after him, man. Let's get after this QB.
Lester, Devin Bush is not on the team. Free agencies are all good.
Yep, so we have...
The trade one, this was before.
We already have 2 F Ponzi's. 3 would be strike 3 there. Shotgun here with a condensed bunch out to the right. Shedeur looking, throws quickly, covered, but caught. Gain of 9.
Believe after the bye, Coop picked the uniforms.
All right. I mean, Coop loves picking the uniforms.
Yeah, I let him pick the uniforms.
So some of these color combos are going to be ridiculous. You're going to see a lot of probably yellow helmets. But under center here, you got a wing out to the right, doubles out to the left, handoff. Judkins up the middle, stiff arms. Patrick Queen gets down to the Steelers 35. First down, Cleveland. And they're at least threatening to tie this game, Bonzi. This is, coming off of Paris week, divisional game, even if you're at home against an inferior opponent.
And it seems this season has been lost at home a lot.
Yep. Shotgun here, takes the snap. Sanders going to hand it off. Judkins breaks a tackle and is able to get a yard. Looked like he broke the tackle of Cam Hayward. Good luck doing that in a real game.
Yeah, but we also saw Daniel Jones break off a tackle, too, of a TJ Watt.
Yep, true. That was ridiculous. Daniel Jones running for as many yards as he did in that game. Trips left here for Shedeur on 2nd down and 9. He'll take the snap. It'll be read option. Shedeur will be tackled by Jamel Dean after a gain of 1. 3rd and long coming up here. A chance to get off the field. A sack might bring him out of field goal range here. So let's go get this. Great time for a sack here, Ponzi. Come on, defense. Time to show up.
There's Mike McCarthy. 10.
Steelers playing off coverage. Shotgun Shedeur. Takes the snap. Taking his time. He's got time in the pocket. Now throws. Contested incomplete. Good coverage there, but it looked like Peyton Wilson getting in there to make the play on Harold Fannin Jr. And now it looks like Cleveland will attempt the field goal to try and tie this game at Acrisure.
Not a gimme.
And it's certainly not a gimme at this point in the field.
Is it a 52-yarder?
50-yarder.
High snap.
High snap. Kick is up. Did he miss it?
He missed it.
No good! And the Steelers maintain their lead. He was wide left on the 50-yard kick attempt. And now the Steelers get the ball with excellent field position. F the Browns, F the Browns, F the Browns, F the Browns. So from the 40, shotgun Rodgers with a nasty bunch out to the left, hands off to Warren, spin move, nasty, picks up 9.5. There we go, Jaylen Warren, baby.
That man's ankles is gone.
Now under center, offset I formation from midfield. Rodgers will take the snap, hand off to Warren again, and he will pick up nothing. Couldn't even pick up some inches there. It'll be 3rd down and inches coming up. Come on, pick up this first. And now heavy formation. Do they just go QB sneak?
Probably.
They go QB sneak, and Rodgers picks it up. 1st down, Steelers. Wonder if they put the Pittsburgh shove in the game this year, where they got the.
I assume they will.
This year will probably be Nowakowski taking the snap, and then you got Cam Hayward and those other and Darnell pushing the tight end in.
Didn't someone else take the snap besides Hayward?
No, it was Connor last year. It was. Oh, look at this beautiful layered throw to Darnell Washington in the seam from Rodgers. 1st down again as they're down to Cleveland's 27. Touchdown here would be big, Ponzi, because I don't know if Cleveland has it in them to score 2 more times. But look at this layered throw right in that pocket against zone coverage. Discount double check from Rodgers.
Dang.
He's loving that throw. Now they go under center with just one receiver out wide to the right, bunch out to the left. It's going to be a toss play to Warren. He's got blockers in front of him. There he goes. He's loose and in. Touchdown, Steelers. Let's go. Jaylen Warren over 100 yards on the day. And on the Arthur Smith special, the toss play was beautifully blocked. And Jaylen Warren breaks a long touchdown run like he is capable of doing from time to time.
Love to see it.
And now Steelers up by 2 scores at home. Well on their way to improving to 6-2 before the bye. And there we go. Two people that are no longer part of the Browns organization fighting on the sideline. Just imagine how much Pittsburgh would be dominating if they didn't have Myles Garrett, the best defensive player in the game, playing for them. And then they had another linebacker in instead of JOK. This would be, Cleveland's not going to be good, guys. Cleveland is going to be bad this year.
Yeah.
Bad. Unless Deshaun Watson turns back the clock.
What are you talking about? Shedeur Sanders is going to lead
Unless Shedeur Sanders really takes a huge step forward this year.
Going from the worst quarterback in terms of EPA. Dude.
All right, this return. Decent return for Cleveland. Takes it out to the 30. Only 16 seconds left in the 3rd quarter. Shotgun for Shedeur. Will take the snap. Hand it off. Judkins. Oh, great play by Patrick Queen. Blowing that up. It's Peyton Wilson and Patrick Queen, the linebacker duo, making that play. It's a loss of 2.
To the 4th we go. Get those
4th quarter.
up.
Look at that spin move from Warren. Beautiful move.
He broke his ankles. Dude.
God, there's only one Cleveland Brown in the area, and they picked it up. That still pisses me off, man. Certainly not been a perfect game from Pittsburgh, but they are up 2 scores heading into the 4th.
Hey, say what you want. Myles Garrett hasn't had a sack.
It's true. Under center here, doubles left for Cleveland. Takes the snap, hands it off. Judkins finds a lane, and there he goes. He's going to try and do a spin move. It doesn't work, but he's already picked up a Cleveland 1st down.
You would like to get a stop here no matter what.
Yeah. Any score here for Cleveland Gets it to a one-possession lead. Shotgun here, takes the snap. Sanders looking, steps up, now throws short, and Peyton Wilson is there to tackle him after just a 3-yard gain. I believe that's Judy's first catch of the game.
Yeah, he had 2 drops already, I believe.
Now under center is Sanders. Take the snap, hands it off to Judkins, and he's going to break 1 tackle, but he's not going to get much further. Good job by the Steelers defense. Once again, Peyton Wilson, who's had a really good simulated season. Be 3rd down and long here, 3rd down and 7. Come on.
Doesn't he have a defensive touchdown?
Ladome says, what's a good replacement for Renegade? It's never, ever, forever, ever getting replaced. Ladome. Shotgun here for Sanders. Pressure on him. Now he gets rid of it just in time. It's going to be a first down to KC Concepcion, who balled out, frankly, in the first matchup in Cleveland. But it's his first catch of this game, and it's a first down. Gets them in the Steelers' territory at the 42. And Peyton Wilson was there to lay the hit on Shedeur. He got that off just in time.
They're using a lot of clock.
Shotgun here for Shedeur. Takes the snap. They send blitz. It's going to perfectly timed screen. But good rally to the ball from Patrick Queen. It's going to be no gain.
It's huge.
I mean, if Judkins would have just used his blockers and cut inside, I mean, that might have been a touchdown. Instead, he stayed outside. Steelers make the tackle. Now shotgun again for Shedeur. We'll take the snap. 3-man rush this time. Oh, no, 4-man rush. Now pressure's collapsing. They're chasing after him, and then Cam Hayward finally brings him down, but after an 8-yard gain.
Dude.
Come on now. Get after him.
What are we doing? Doing the Cam Ward standing still.
Third down and 2, shotgun for Shedeur. Again, they've been in this same formation a bunch of times. They're going to hand it off. He didn't get there. Stonewalled by Alex Highsmith. It'll be 4th and inches. If you're Cleveland, I mean, this is a long field goal. This is exactly where they were when they missed last time. If I'm them, I'm going for it.
Yeah.
If I'm them, I'm going for it, and they are. But they go out and shotgun. So no QB sneak here. Takes the snap. Shedeur's going to pass. Throws short. Caught. First down. KC Concepcion. Cleveland went for the short pass.
I mean, if you are going to allow a score here, I understand the Browns have 3 timeouts, but they chewed off 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Ideally, just hold them to 3.
Now shotgun takes the snap. Shedeur looking. Nothing there. Now stepping up. Now throws. Contested incomplete. It's almost more of a throwaway than an actual attempt to try and make a completion. Pressure was getting to Sanders. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
Don't like the high-fiving on the sidelines when the game's still going on, guys.
Bad look.
Very bad look.
All right, empty here for Shedeur. Takes the snap. Looking. Got some time, but time's running out, and there it is! Flash the watches, TJ Watt gets his sack today. You got Watt reading a book on the piece of human furniture there. TJ getting his sack. Highsmith had one earlier. Watt had one earlier.
Got a swat at the ball.
Or Hayward had one earlier, I should say. Now here we go, 3rd and 18. Just trying to preserve the field goal here, I think, if you're Cleveland. Shedeur holding on to the ball forever. Now finally throws it away.
Dude.
What is Shedeur doing? As Nick Herbig was the one that put pressure on him. And it'll be 4th and 18, and they got to try an even longer field goal than the one they missed earlier. Everyone type miss in the chat. Everyone type miss in the chat. Come on. They missed one earlier. They could do it again. Kick is up. Oh, does it have enough? It is. It's good. 53-yarder is good. There was a Steelers defender that almost ran into that kicker.
That would have been bad.
That would have been disastrous.
Paranormal in the Funhouse is asking if we can have a Jack versus Ponzi game day one day.
Maybe.
Maybe.
If you guys are good. Kick is away. It's going to be fielded at the 5, and Bernard is going to take this thing out to around the 27.
Let's get a couple first downs.
I mean, just got to get a couple first downs here, Ponzi. Cleveland still has all their timeouts and the 2-minute warning.
Let's run the ball.
Jaylen Warren has been unstoppable today. I would force them to stop him. Offset I formation. It certainly looks like a run formation. Handoff to Warren, and there is Jared versus Garrett blowing up the play. Timeout, Cleveland. F. Ponzi in the chat. F. Ponzi in the chat. Jared verse ain't making that play.
Watching you both play and having to play random teams. Dude, knowing my luck, I'd probably get like the Titans.
I'm actually pretty good at Madden.
Yeah, I don't play it as much as I used to, but like comp, I was pretty good.
2nd down and 12. Rodgers looking. They're going to throw this. Rodgers still looking. Now has to get rid of it at the last second. Stops the clock.
What?
If anything, I would take the sack there. Force Cleveland to use another one of their timeouts.
Dude.
God, Madden Rodgers is like dumb. They go empty. This would be a huge first down, and if Rodgers can move the sticks, takes the snap. Rodgers looking, throws middle. Oh, almost nailed it. Tried to go to Muth. It was well defended by Schlesinger. Clock stops again.
That's not good.
So Cleveland has 2 timeouts and the 2-minute warning. They need a touchdown. It'll be 4 down territory when they get the ball here.
Just kick the ball away, though.
Just don't get it blocked. The kick is away from Johnston.
It's really good punt.
Good punt, but it's going to be fielded and brought down at the 32. Cole Holcomb on the tackle. Now here comes Shadur Sanders strutting his stuff out there. Get after his ass. Here we go. Heavy formation on first down for Cleveland. Takes the snap. Hands it off. Judkins, big hole up the middle, and there he goes. And he gets into Steelers territory already to the 46, and that's the 2-minute warning. Oh, my God, man. We can't lose to Cleveland. By the way, at this point in the season, they have 0 wins. Takes the snap, handoff Judkins, and he gets rocked by Peyton Wilson. Gain of 4. But remember, guys, field goals won't do it for Cleveland. They need a touchdown. They got less than 2 minutes to go. They still got 2 timeouts, though. All Pittsburgh needs to do is hold firm and prevent a touchdown. Under center here for Sanders. Takes the snap, 3-step drop, quick throw, caught by Boston. It's caught and taken down inbounds after a medium gain. It'll be 3rd down and 2. Cleveland not using a timeout. Everybody type defense in the chat. Defense. 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 Shadur from the shotgun. He's got time in the pocket. Now he's going to find his check down. Caught Judkins. First down, Cleveland after a gain of 3. Defense. 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 Come on now. Got about a minute to go here. Cleveland still has 2 more timeouts. Trips right. Shadur from the shotgun. Takes the snap. Read option. Now Shadur's on the run, and he gets absolutely creamed. Pause by Jaquan Brisker. Jesus, you definitely can't use that word to describe a big hit anymore.
We're not using that word in the watch party.
Not in today's society. Can't remember the last time I described cream to describe a big hit. I don't know why that word popped up. Now Steelers send a blitz. They pick it up. Throws poorly thrown from Shadur. It'll be 3rd down and 3. Maybe the pressure's getting to the second-year quarterback a little bit, Ponzi.
Yeah, that's definitely true, Zarcraig. Coop used worse.
Yes, if you remember, he said bukkake.
Dude.
And he thought that meant like poppycock.
Dude.
And he was sitting there. He's like, what does that mean? And I'm like, dude, you can't say that.
You just can't say
Shotgun
bukkake.
here. Actually an empty. Throws quickly wide open as Concepcion gets down to around the 10-yard line. Clock continues to tick. A big first down conversion for Cleveland.
This game's going to come down to...
Could we get overtime in Week 8? Can the Steelers get a stop?
It's going to come down to a goal line stand. Whoa. Roman, chill.
Here we go, first down and 10. Technically, they can still pick up a first down, but it's pretty much first down and goal. Sanders looking. Throws on the out route. Caught. Excuse me. Timeout Cleveland as they get down to the 2-yard line. A gain of 9.
If I'm the Steelers, I'm debating on calling a timeout no matter what if it's in bounds. They don't have timeouts anymore, so you would expect runs to be out of it.
Yeah, that was the final timeout for Cleveland. Pittsburgh still has all 3. You still want to preserve the opportunity to get a couple completions to get a field goal to win it. Under center, Sanders, 5-step drop, throws end zone, broken up. Good play. I didn't see who that was that broke it up, but it'll be 3rd down and 1. Come on, defense. Come on, defense. Let's go. Never forget, Cleveland let the clock run out on them on a potential game-winning drive in Cleveland back in the first matchup. Takes the snap. Sanders looking. He's going to look to run, and he's in. Touchdown, Shedeur Sanders, his 2nd rushing touchdown of the game. Oh, my gosh, dude. You can't let that happen. And now the question is, do they go for 2? If I'm Cleveland, I'm going for 2. I don't think I can beat this Steelers team in overtime. On the road, I think if I'm Cleveland, this is my chance to go win this thing. Steelers defense is tired.
Oh.
Yep, and they're going for it here. They're going for the win. Shotgun here for Shedeur. Get the stop. Come on. Takes the snap. He's looking to run. Not there. Did he catch it? He did. It's good.
What a catch, dude.
Shedeur Sanders out of structure. Found a guy in the corner of the end zone by the pylon. Denzel Boston with the catch, and it's 18-17 Cleveland, and they are 22 seconds away from... Look at that catch. Full extension. It wasn't even a good throw from Shedeur.
Wow.
And now the Steelers will have 22 seconds and 3 timeouts.
We have seen crazier this season.
We have seen crazier. We've had 3 lead changes in 15 seconds in the Foxborough game, so this is nothing compared to that. Now they're going to take this out. Bernard from the 5. Finds a little bit of a crease, but the clock continues to tick, and he gets down to the 29.
Dude, the Steelers lost this game because they got away from the run.
I mean, they kind of did, but they kind of didn't. But here we go. He got 17 seconds to get in the Boswell field goal range. Rodgers takes the snap. He's got to throw it down the field. He does. It's incomplete.
Flag?
Down to 14 seconds, no flag. Right now, the Steelers in danger of going down to 5-3, and once again, I mean, it seems like there's always a game that feels like the Steelers should win against Cleveland, and Cleveland finds a way to weasel it out. This would certainly fit that bill if Pittsburgh loses this. Shotgun here for Rodgers. He's got 14 seconds left. Takes the snap. He's got to throw it quickly. Now he's looking to run. Rolling to his right. You got to launch it. He's running with it. Timeout, Pittsburgh. Why the fuck? Throw it away before you do that. Oh my gosh, bro. There is no world where Rodgers does that in real life. Everyone type F Ponzi in the chat.
Oh my God.
We're going to lose this game.
Miles didn't even have an impact.
That's not true.
He didn't.
He had some big tackles.
Oh my
Shotgun
goodness.
here for Rodgers. Has to throw it downfield. Throw it. Gets F Ponzi in the chat. Boo. Boo. Redo. 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 What a joke.
Still have a winning record.
I don't care. It's the Browns, and you're losing to them at home. It's unacceptable. We may have to redo this one next week. Now, this will be the Hail Mary heave.
Does get off.
He does get it off. It's caught, and it's brought down at the 13, and that's the game. I might have to have a stern talking to with our producer here, folks, and we might let us know.
Stern talking.
We're gonna do a poll to finish today's show. Do you want to?
It's gonna be yes.
Do you want to redo this game?
We could do a 2-for-1 special, 4-minute quarters. I did not switch it before the game. I recorded it before.
Do you want to redo? I just put the poll in the chat. You guys have 1 minute.
Good. There might not be a single vote no. If there's one vote no.
Do you guys want to move on to week 9 next week and keep it going, or do you want to replay week 7 or it would be week 10 after the bye? Let us know.
Fire Ponzi. I recorded it before the trade.
I agree. Well, I agree, but like after the trade happened, you had to re-record.
I forgot that I had this one at bank.
That's why it's
fair.
at Ponzi.
That's fair. It's on me.
They have the best defensive player in the game. You're saying that didn't have any impact on this game?
He didn't have a sack.
I don't care. You think that sack is the only way that he could have an impact on pressures? How many times did
here? How about this? How many times did
Stop
them?
How many times did Rodgers need to get outside the pocket in this game and had to throw it away because of Myles Garrett being there?
Here's a bold take for you. Stop Shador.
I mean, fair enough, but no. All right. The people have spoken. We are redoing this game next Tuesday.
Here's what we'll do. We'll have a 2-for-1 special next week.
No, we're doing the full game.
1 quarter to decide it.
We're saying this is a bad dream. That's what we're saying. This one was a bad dream, okay? And then next week we will.
Sounds like we got a bunch of sore losers.
We will redo this. Well, sore losers. I mean, Myles Garrett's not on this fucking team,
man.
We have to see what it looks like with Jared Verse, no Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, and then we'll see what happens, all right? We'll see if the Steelers score 17 points on that defense. All right? So that's what we'll do. We're going to And if we lose that game, we lose that game, no matter what happens, all right? So we will redo this game.
You know, in honor, people saying bring back Coop, I'm going to make the ugly uniforms back.
No, not do that.
Nope. That's the trade-off to this deal. We're redoing this game. The ugly-ass Steelers throwback uniforms we saw in Green Bay last year are coming back.
All right, for one game.
For one game.
All right, fine. I'm fine looking at the ugly yellow jerseys.
And the Browns uniforms are going to be ugly too.
Fine. I don't care as long as Myles Garrett is not on that field. All right, man. That's going to be it for the show. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Next time we'll be live. Next time we're planning on being live is next Tuesday. All right, so make sure you guys join us for that. Greatly appreciate your guys' support. We'll see you guys next time. And until then, here we go, Steelers.